bro, I definitely will take you up on that.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely, man.
I want to do like a 10th of a gram daily.
Yeah.
See where that gets me.
Yeah. Start with 0.1, 0.2. You just have to get like a decent scale, or you can try like the dollar bill trick.
No,
but
you know more than me about the subject, and you've done way more than me. So like, I definitely. You know what I mean?
He said, "Yeah."
Now, would you recommend microdose? Like,
yeah, honestly, yeah. I love that. I love the idea of that because honestly, everyone's so different with how they respond to substances that you should you shouldn't jump into them like psychedelics because they can have effects on people depending on. I've had people lose their minds, you know.
Yeah, well, it can trigger people with like schizophrenia, it's like deep within. And stuff like that.
And even before that, just psychotic episodes and things when people are going through stressful life situations or just not expecting to get to that.
Because it's going to be mostly dark.
With
so much repressed. I mean, you open that door, shit's gonna fall out. You know what I mean? Like,
but I believe the body and I believe whatever it is, like I've taken doses before that are like so crazy to where literally like nothing's happened, and I'm like, that wasn't because the drug didn't work. That was because my body was like, this is not the right time and place. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Like. But I took the same drugs the day before and after, and they worked. But when I was here at this party, nothing happened.
That's so.
My mind was like, no.
Your body super crazy.
Yeah.
Which definitely gives a degree of separation to the level of that drug because you smoke weed, nigga, you gonna get high.
Yeah, exactly.
Period.
Exactly.
The only time you're not gonna get high when you smoke weed is if you're so fucked up on everything else that you can't feel it. But like technically, you're high.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, that's something, you get what you get.
I've been in the midst of like psychedelic trips, like, you know, at the peak halfway through and had the gnarliest experience ever to where I die and I come back and I'm completely sober. 6 hours into a 12-hour acid trip. I'm like, what? Okay. I guess I'm going to go to the store or something.
Now, is that what you
do you go back into it?
No. No, it's just done. Doesn't make any sense.
Would you call that like one of those ego deaths or just like something in your mind?
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's like a. It's just an experience. You know what I mean? It's like for me, it's just like this. It's like another thing. It's like it's like if you traveled to fucking Mexico and like there was different buildings and different.
It's a trip.
Architecture.
Culture. It's a trip. You just went on a trip.
You just You've
seen some different shit.
And the fact that the mind has a capacity. I don't even like to associate it with anything spiritual necessarily. As far as like the fact that these substances exist is incredible. But the incredible thing is that our brains actually have they have, you know, the
capacity.
What would you call it? Yeah, the capacity, but the almost like the genetic makeup to be able to even have the experience in the first place.
It's like a lock and key. It's like you're putting the square peg in the square hole. We have a square hole in our mind.
In theory, it proves that we've evolved with these substances being like the more traditional mushrooms, salvia, DMT, you know, things like that.
Well, yeah, because, you know, they say that you have all these substances already in your mind.
Exactly. Like, we're walking drugs.
Yeah, you're holding always. Yeah. You're always holding. Yeah. Is like this famous mushroom.
Yeah, Terrence McKenna.
Yep, Terrence McKenna.
Terrence McKenna is my fucking spirit animal, bro. You're always holding.
Yeah, his brother was like.
That's why when people say like talk shit to me because I would do all sorts of drugs, and I'm like, dude, like we are drugs. No drug is a bad drug. There's no malice drug out there like I'm gonna make you addicted. It's like things are addictive for sure. I've seen it fucking take a hold of people's lives. You know what I mean? But it's like, what's the difference? They're just drugs. Like it's an experience. Like if I liked going skateboarding, I go skateboarding a lot. I like taking acid.
Right. Well, yeah, that goes back to the point that I always said that like addiction isn't necessarily the bad thing because our minds are always wired to like be addicted to something.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
you need to
what
figure
allows us to live is like addiction. Like subconscious addictions is like what keeps us alive. You know what I mean? But when you take this great aspect of ourselves, like pattern recognition, patterns, addiction, and you apply it to something bad, that's when it becomes a bad thing. So addiction isn't necessarily the bad thing. It's your abuse of this. Because I mean, if you drink too much water, you'll die. So, like,
literally.
It's a balance, dude.
It's a balance.
Everything.
100%. And what's funny, to go back to the idea of there being drugs already naturally in your system, I bet you that's the reason why in a judiciary system you can't be charged for being on the drug. Yeah. And that's why possession is 9/10 of the law. Because I'm sure there was some fucking dope ass lawyer that was like, so you're gonna charge this person for time for having traces of drugs in the system. Okay. So did you realize these drugs are naturally secreting in your body, in the judge's body? You know what I mean? Like that's shut. Case closed.
And that's one of the things. I've been around like crazy people who like are like. Don't do drugs and all they do is meditate and yoga and things like that. I'm like,
but that's a drug.
It's a drug.
Dude, you're taking
it's
a
different.
You're taking the
it's
long
a different
road
door.
To get to where
I don't think it's a bad thing.
Drive to the party and you can walk to the party. We still going to the party, man.
Exactly. That's the thing. Exactly. And so it's like honestly, I grew up doing fucking Tai Chi, Shaolin Kung Fu, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu from the time I was 3 years old to the time I was 18. I was doing meditations with dudes who didn't even speak things, just listening to the tones of their voice, doing these chants and things like that. And so meditation, when I would go into drugs, any drug I did, I never did it at parties. Even when I was doing like fucking smoking black tar and shit like that, it was like you were just fucking. I would do it, put my headphones in, and just go lay in my room. And I was like, what are these drugs? You know what I mean? Like, what is it? Like, where is the line? And like, it was more like of a curiosity purely, but like curiosity killed the cat.
Went on a spiritual journey. You wanted to try all the doors.
Yeah,
you opened all the doors just to see what it was, and like. I wouldn't call you a druggie or anything. Like there's you don't have that stigma on you because like you're using it responsibly and you're using it for a reason. You're searching for something within yourself. You're trying to figure out life instead of just abusing
and everyone
a drug
around
just
me was
to feel good and forget everything.
Everyone around me was going through it. Like they were literally like people fucking going through like shooting up around me and shit. And it's like I felt like in a way I think it was my way of trying to build empathy and compassion and like be able to sit with them because I cared about them. And so it was like, what is this shit doing to them? You know what I mean? Like,
interesting.
But you're one of those unique people. I think you're like a rarity that like, and this isn't the case with me whatsoever. I'm like literally so like you don't allow like the outside stigma to affect your experience, which that was the opposite for me. I used to let there was a point where like when I was young I could smoke weed back to back blunts and it wouldn't affect me, right? Now, because of maybe some physical reasons as well, now I can't get high without having a bad experience.
Yes.
Right. It's always like that for me. And whether it's like my mom in my head saying that that's bad, whether it's because she doesn't know.
Yeah, exactly.
So like, I just kind of like let all this kind of like seep into my reality.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I mean?
And what's funny is like the exploration of drugs to further the mind and further the experience on Earth has been dotted throughout clinical studies. You know what I mean? It's been dotted throughout many different religions where intelligent high priestesses, philosophers have all delved into this. There's a reason why we keep on coming back. There's a reason why there's talks of using mushrooms in today's society as a countermeasure to
depression, a lot of other things.
And a lot of other things. And the reason why it's coming back through is because it's always been. This has always been a source of truth. This has always been a source of remedy for us, but it's been told to us that it's not because there wasn't a way for people to make money off of it yet. There wasn't a way that they could centralize the production of whatever that was enough to hinge the market.
Well, do you know why that is? And I was just having that discussion today at work with somebody. It's because you can't put a patent on a flower. You know what I'm saying? You have to have a proprietary process and ingredient to be able to, patent that shit. Yeah. That's literally the only reason. Because, like, for example, there might be some skin medication that's derived from aloe vera. Aloe vera works just fine, but they created this thing so they say it's better, so they can make their proprietary terms off this product that came from a natural source, bro.
When I was 18 or 19, my freshman year of college, the 1 year I went, in my English class, we had to do like a persuasive essay. Like you have to do every fucking year of every grade.
Yep.
And
tradition.
Yeah, exactly. And so I was like, all right, like you have to pick a subject, and our subject had to be fucking, verified. The teacher had to check it out and be like, all right, it's good.
Good.
So I went up,
the stamp of approval,
and I told her I wanted to do one on the benefits of psychedelics in the medical field. And this was when I was 19. This is 8 years ago. And you could tell she was like very religious as well, like wore a cross and shit. And like it just your traditional thing. But and so
Square booty.
She was like, no, there's not enough research and things on that. Just like going around all these things telling me I can't do it. And so
it's like so funny that you've never delved into this topic.
And you know there's no
just know
exactly,
that there's
no
big fucking
She's like, there's not enough research on that stuff. That's not a thing. Like, and I was like, okay. And so then I ended up writing. It was like a 10-page essay that we had to write. I think I wrote like 12 or 13 pages just to like be an asshole. And then put so much work cited and all this shit through these different organizations that run these things and that were doing these things back in the day and starting to implement them again at the lowest levels at that point. And now they're fucking popping. Like, Maps is one of the biggest things in the world, and it's 100%. Fucking insane, dude. It's like,
Harvard, Yale,
bro, it's fucking incredible, dude. And it's like, I was literally like, I'm like, it makes me want to cry because it's like, I've been feeling like this for so long, and it's like to see it being accepted. And it's like, I, lost touch with my entire family over things like this, and then now it's like I can go home and like laugh because my parents love like UFC, and Joe Rogan is the curator, and it's like he's one of the biggest advocates for psychedelics.
Oh, 100%.
And they know that, and so it breaks the wall, and we can have the conversation. You know what I mean? Exactly.
Yeah, that's dope.
So it's like there's conversations, and like my dad like he smokes and he watches Viceland, and it's like okay, there's different fucking things on there like that pop up, like Hamilton's Pharmacopoeia.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Like
that one's
ayahuasca
crazy.
And stuff like that. It's like, bro, these people are fucking beautiful. Like, thank you for going through and putting this work out there because it's not easy and it's not always pretty. You know what I mean?
It's very processed. It's very strenuous. It's very tedious. You know what I mean? The process of extracting some of these psychedelics is a very delicate process.
And all these people needed was it to be presented to them in an official way, I think. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Once it has been. Once now Yale's doing research on how MDMA can cure people of emotional issues.
And
it's built in us. It's always going to come back.
How it's always been.
Rick Doblin, Rick Doblin, I think he's the main dude for that. He was running that thing, and he's fucking crazy, dude. Like, he's got so much, just years of research behind this stuff, and like there's so much potential that they've shown with that in particular. That's gonna be the first one. That MDMA is the first one that's in. It's in stage 4 or 5. It's in the last stage of testing before being introduced into the medical field, and mushrooms are right behind it.
That's gonna.
Wow.
But it's actually in the last
game
stage.
changer.
In Denver too, bro, because didn't they decriminalize it?
Yeah, they decriminalized it in Denver, and they decriminalized it in fucking. Dude, where was it in fucking Oakland? I was like, okay, who's taking mushrooms in Oakland? But yes.
Hey, but you know what's crazy though? That's been a big Bay Area thing though for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big Meg Dre head. So Meg Dre, we've been talking about taking shrooms and orange juice.
Sure,
That's
you're right.
big, true.
I'm just used to taking them out in the mountains and shit, so I'm like, whoa, y'all.
Like, I would rather do mushrooms in the mountains than like in a city. It's kind of weird. Like, mushrooms connect you to the earth. Like,
first time
so
I did shrooms,
it
I was
feels
on the
better.
beach.
Though, like for example, you want the shrooms
Aptos, California, bro.
Do you think that going to like a mountain area and experiencing that, which by the way I also want to do. I'm not taking away from that experience, but do you think that maybe you leaving that and going back to your city life that creates sort of like separation, like maybe these changes can't take place in the city life because
I don't think
that
so.
I think
once
like
you
just
see
the
it,
experience.
Yeah,
that
your
you
mind
go
looks at it. So it's like when you have to. It's like I think Joe Rogan described it. Maybe he was quoting someone, but he described it in a perfect way. Where like you have a fresh mountain with powder, and all these lines have been carved into it from people going over and over again. Your neural pathways being developed and things like that from these habits and patterns. And when you take psychedelics, it's like putting on fresh powder. So it's like you've been for the past 6 years you haven't taken psychedelics. And you've used one page of paper to put all your thoughts on. And now this paper is just like fucking filled with shit. And so it's like you take this, you have this experience, and it's like you crumble that fucking paper up, you throw it away, and you start a new one. You know what I mean? That's like almost like the in essence, like what the
goal
extreme would
that.
be. Exactly.
Yeah.
So then regardless of the setting, you're still resetting your
neural
So
pathways.
if you come back now to your city, and you know that. And so now you have a completely different way of looking at it, and it allows you to look at it and almost have more compassion for it, like in a way. That's how you know what I mean. You don't feel like it's like overwhelmed by it at times. You feel like more like compassionate towards it and understand like the situation we're in, and be like, all right, like this has got us to this point. Is no longer serving us now, But like I think it's like a friend of mine and I we always talk about we have adapted quicker than our instincts were able to. So like we are still like if you found a fig tree back in the day, you would eat pretty much all the figs on there because you didn't know when the fuck you're gonna see a fig tree again. So I could go to the store and we consume and we overeat. There's all these instincts that we've had to do because we had to survive as human beings for so long. For the first time ever, we're actually not surviving. We're thriving, but we instinctually can't comprehend that. So we're still in a fight or flight mode, even though we don't, know
we don't
that.
need
That's
it.
why like the world's always ending. There's always 20,
exactly.
26.
It's like, dude, like, you know what I mean?
We're always consuming.
In about 2-3 years, we're gonna hear about the next comment. They're gonna build a website, and everyone's gonna go crazy.
But the thing is, there's no
Yeah.
merit in telling. If somebody came up to you and said the world's gonna end in 1,000 years, you'd be like, okay.
100%.
Everyone says the world's gonna end because you have to put it in their lifetime. That's what people want. You know what I mean? It's like
which also points to the fact of like things being passed down from DNA, like generational trauma and stuff like that. All that is kind of related to that because if we're still feeling that from our ancestors and that was 5,000 years ago, a sense of impending doom, a sense of tomorrow's not guaranteed.
Yeah, exactly. That's been ingrained in us forever.
Yeah.
Those instincts have been with us.
We're all just trying to survive, man.
Yeah. And for the first time, we actually like have a place where it's like we don't all have to. We don't have to go hungry. We don't have to do these things. Like we, as a like I don't want to elaborate on it too much, but it's like I would tell people like you have when we realized that back in the day we said the Earth was round. Who was it? Plato or Galileo? But
they named the telescope after him.
Yeah, I can't remember who, but so pretty much. So, but after that instance, when that became like more of that. So before we realized that the Earth was round, we had a 2-dimensional perspective because that's how we saw things. And so then after we realized Earth was round, we had a 3-dimensional perspective, and from that we had a huge transition in revolutions in the Industrial Revolution, the Scientific Revolution, medicine, all these things, just because we go, oh, we're bigger than that. And that changed our minds as a culture to where we were able to adapt to that. And so, like, I tell people, like, I've been around people where we talk about, like, we talk about, like, fourth dimensional and, like, enlightenment and things like that. I'm like, fourth dimensional is not like you're going to enter a fucking light body. Fourth dimensional awareness is when you realize that we're literally all in this together. And, like, we start acting like that, and it's like when you really understand that and you feel that, then all your decisions go towards that being the good, and we all start to work together just because of that. And it's that's the next revolution. You know what I mean? At the 4th dimensional perspective.
And that's what we're doing here.
Yes, exactly.
Ladies and gentlemen, human beings. What a hell of an intro right there. Goddamn.
Oh my God.
If you didn't know what you're listening to. If you didn't know what you're listening to. This is the A podcast. Yeah. Earthlings. Goddamn. Today we have a very special guest. You heard him. We talked about this man before. Yep. This is one of my favorite artists right now. A dope creative, obviously here, like incredible, intelligent dude. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank
Our
you.
guy, the Kaleidoscope Kid.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Proud to have you,
Pleasure, man.
Thank you. Thank you for being here, of course. Man. So.
Introduce yourself.
Oh yeah, you're right, man. See that whole all right.
We're getting better. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. We got to him first, and that's the important part.
Okay. Well, of course, I am the A-Factor. 1/3 of the Odd Squad family.
Yeah, and I am intellect. 1/3 of New Age politics, and also behind the camera. I'm sure you heard a strapping young lad.
Yeah, of course. We got you already know.
Another member of New Age politics, Neil Santos, aka Santos. So.
And as always,
props
we got Matt Hat in the building.
Here. Yeah, and of course, the all-knowing Matt Hat is present and ready to dish out if he sees fit. You know what I'm saying? Don't pressure him.
Yeah, we got a whole squad in here today. Usually it's 3 of us.
It's
we have 2 more. It's gonna be a dope ass podcast, man.
I was about to say, order your Uber Eats right now because this is probably gonna be a good one.
Strap it in.
You know what I'm saying? Don't drive in pod, my nigga.
You know, that's actually dope. I like driving in pod.
Yeah, it's kind of like best time pod.
It is a good time.
Don't like driving like video pod. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. If you want to throw it in the phones and do your thing, I completely understand because you know,
don't watch
it's within that nature.
Right.
You don't get the full experience while you're on the road. I know motherfuckers be on YouTube and shit trying to get their likes up.
Well, we haven't
while
uploaded
they're
to YouTube.
in
Wow.
commute.
That's not cool.
No.
We're gonna get back to YouTube, but this one will be on YouTube.
Flex.
Right?
Flex.
Super flex, because we're gonna do that. But yeah, I mean, however you're listening to this, wherever you're listening to this, thank you very much. We all carry stress in ways that we don't know. So right now, people.
Yes.
Take the tongue off the roof of your mouth, unhinge your jaw, and drop your shoulders from your neck.
Just relax now. I'm gonna try that.
Just relax.
I feel like you got to do that every once in a while just to recharge.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Take some deep breaths.
Yes.
Meditate.
Bring it back to square one.
Yeah. Now we're back.
Yeah.
Thank you.
How do y'all feel? Do y'all feel better?
Dude, I hope you guys
I know
feel
y'all
better.
feel better.
Yeah.
It's okay.
So thank you guys for listening. Man, I forget, what is this, episode 31 or something? 30? 31?
31?
31. Yes. I had it right.
Don't doubt yourself.
I know. See, I am worthy. I gotta remember.
100%.
Okay.
Exactly.
Man, but
31. Yes. You know what I'm saying? What is creative peak, like 35? They say in males, creative peak is like 35.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. Just imagine, my niggas. We got some time.
You know what I was
I'm
thinking?
very excited about that. We're still on the learning curve.
Yeah.
Sure.
Since we locked this in, it was supposed to be the last podcast, but he ended up having the show, the Kaleidoscope Kid, and since we locked it in, and you've been down here more and shit, I've been thinking, man, when this podcast comes out someday, some people are gonna look at this and be like, damn. This is like epic, like to have these three artists, and it was like, cause you said our creative peak is 35. Just think when we're at that peak and somebody comes back into the archives and sees this shit, and they're like, damn.
100%.
I tell people all the time, wait till you see what we're doing in 10 years, dude.
Exactly.
This isn't even our best stuff we're making. It's insane. And I'm so stoked on this shit, you know what I mean? It's crazy.
And like I said, we talked about you before on the podcast. A new member of the Only Dreamers family, coming out with a lot of dope shit. So
really
the channel was we're
for
so excited.
Stoked to be here.
Man, definitely love working with you. You bring a different flavor. I wanted to get into the background of how you actually got here, because I heard of you through Matt. Since we met Matt back in the day, a few years ago, was showing me your shit. I'm like, damn, that's super dope. Love to work with him. He's like, let's do it.
Yeah, you knew Matt from way back, right?
Yeah, me and Matt, we grew up in the same area kind of, and so we were at the same skate park. It was kind of like his house was a mile on this side of the skate park, and my house was a mile on this side of the skate park. And so we were always just little skate rats, and we were always there. And so we all knew each other, and then I worked at Sonic right next to the fucking skate park, and so anytime homies from the skate park came in, I would hook them up.
That's the dopest lunch breaks ever.
Yeah, I'm like, nobody has money here.
Right.
You're not paying for this fucking slushy.
Bro, how many lunch breaks did you not eat lunch? You know what I'm saying? Like, you just spent that whole time across the street just getting fucked down, nigga. You come back, your uniform a little scuffed, she's kind of sweaty.
Exactly.
So you better work that hard on the ground, man.
I know, and then it's hot as hell in there. You're like, damn, fuck. But yeah, no, so me and Matt knew each other forever, and then he when I moved up to Sedona when I was 19, 20, he ended up there one day through another homie, and then we just would hang out. And then I picked up a guitar probably 5.5, 6 years ago, and I was like, I learned a Pink Floyd song. I learned "Wish You Were Here," and I was like, all right, I'm gonna learn this song and then learn how to sing it. And then after that, I was like, all right, I could write a song. And then it's like
Hold on, pause, real quick. Pink Floyd's "Wish You Were Here" was like your practice get up to speed song. What the fuck did I just hear? Like, how are you just gonna casually throw in, one of the most iconic slow songs ever to grace an acoustic guitar? I just picked that up and learned, I could do
It
this.
took me like a month
that was
or
my
two,
standard, and I
like-
just built from there.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, I just think that is so massive.
And then so I just was like, okay, I got a couple chord ideas. If I just do a couple of these real quick, like do 3 of these, do them this way, like I could write some shit. So I did it. And then we were up chilling, camping, and Matt rolled through with some homies. I was up there with some homies, and he was like, I'm in town. I'm in the area if you want to kick it. So I told him to come out there and smoke a blunt. And then, I played him Wish You Were Here. I think I played him another song that I just was learning as well.
Were you impressed?
Absolutely.
Dude, he fucking... and then I played him that song that I wrote, and he was like, bro, we gotta get you in the studio. And he was working in a different studio. And so we went in there, and he was like, we were in the studio, and it was just so dope, because it was like, it was unreal, and it was just cool, like, to be in that setting. And, so much of it felt intuitive in a strange way, like just like how like
you were being pulled.
Yeah, and like even like just being in there at first, it felt overwhelming at the first moment, just because it's like, okay, like this is what's up. But then like it's like I remember at one point Matt was like, all right, do some harmonies with yourself, and I was like, what the fuck does that mean? And he's like, do the same tone but like lower or higher, and I was like, okay. And then I did it, and I like right away, and I was like, oh, dope, that sounds crazy, like that's cool. I didn't realize that you could like, but at the same thing, it's like I knew like from doing like chanting with people and shit like that, like all being the same like and doing weird shit like that. It's like, okay, yeah, harmonizing like that, but doing it at different octaves, okay. And then so just a lot of those things where it was just like it got my mind like going, and it like just felt like it felt really fun to make music, and like right off the bat just being like, all right, here's a studio. And then, and then right after that, it was like a month later, I got like super sick and ended up in the hospital for like a couple of days, and I had like a month of recovery, and then, like I couldn't sleep, I couldn't talk, like I got diagnosed with this like rare autoimmune disease, and so they put me with these infectious disease doctors and all these things. And we're just running all these tests on me, all this stuff. I weighed like 93 pounds. I was like,
wow.
They thought I was gonna die, and it looked like I was gonna die. And they gave me some medicine and said, okay, hopefully this doesn't happen again. And then it happened again, like a month later.
Hopefully this doesn't happen again. That's the official diagnosis. Maybe see you.
No,
you know.
Literally, they said.
Good news if I don't see you.
They said we've tested you for everything we can. The only thing we can give you is a symptomatic diagnosis because you don't have any. I mean, we've tested you for everything, like everything.
This is when we need help.
Yeah, right.
Holy fuck, for real.
Exactly.
This is when we need help.
Where's the British crippled pill popper to handle?
If something random's gonna happen, he's gonna be like, oh, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah, exactly.
Go test for that.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah, it's gonna be like a week
At that
later.
time, bro, no. He's sitting in the waiting room, rolling a blunt. He lets y'all have the full diagnosis. As he walks out, he's like, it's meningococcus. And that's it. He'll just drop it casually. If you fucking hear it, you hear it. If you don't, you don't. Nigga,
You missed it.
I only say it one time.
If you were there, you know.
Yeah, that's it.
If you were there,
Just
you
be
know.
fucking happy.
I tried to
here.
let you morons figure it out.
Yeah.
But
I gave y'all bitches a chance. It's meningococcus.
And so,
okay.
so during that process, I had just picked up the guitar recently, and I literally I had something was destroying my mucous membrane, which made it to where I couldn't talk. I could barely drink water. It was the most painful thing I've ever. They told me that they were like, you pretty much have a 3rd-degree burn on the entire inside of your body. Wow. And there was like blood coming from literally my eyes, my mouth, my nose. I mean, every part of my body. It was like a horror film. And so that was 5 years ago or something like that. And
This nigga's getting symptoms of the plague.
yeah, it literally was, bro.
And,
it was like boil.
and they're giving him a symptomatic diagnosis, bro.
Shit, bro.
I'm bleeding out my
They
orphans. You
thought
can't tell me what the fuck this is.
They thought I was a drug addict because I looked like I had pop marks all over my body and shit. Like I had like these crazy like blisters of blood blisters. Like when you burn yourself and you get like a little blood blister like that. Like I'm in this. Imagine that, but dark black. Like, that's how dark the fucking blood was. And this shit was popping up all over, in my eyes, in my fucking nose, all this shit, in my mouth, all this stuff. And I thought I was going to die. And I just was like, all right, I'm going to die.
so crazy.
And my girlfriend at the time literally just pretty much, like, took me to the hospital because I was, like unconscious because of being malnourished. And, like, I was, like, in the bedroom just, like, let me die. Like, I was like, I don't know what this is. And then, so then I got out and I had all this time to do nothing, and I couldn't sleep because I was losing my mind.
Right.
And in so much pain.
Naturally.
And like literally I would watch TV, and like a commercial would come on or a TV show. If food showed up in the show, I would taste it. I would like to a hallucinatory state. Like it was terrifying, dude. It like you know when you smell that's not there. It was literally and dude, it would make me cry. It was because it was like, dude, people are starving, and like I hadn't eaten in literally like 3 or 4 weeks, like anything other than like maybe getting some water and like IVs and fluids and things like that. And so it was like not.
And you're thinking that people are starving.
Yeah.
Not you're starving.
No, it's
but you're getting emotional about the fact that
I'm like thinking about like, the Holocaust and like, things like that. I'm like, holy shit.
Right. If the maid walked in, she would think you have leprosy. But you're thinking about other people starving. Like, how are you having existential thoughts at that moment in time? Man?
Honestly, when I was
that
in the
itself
hospital,
shows the sharpness of your psyche.
When I was in the hospital, it was like the most like calming experience I've ever had in my entire life. At one point, for like 2 or 3 days. To where it was almost like PTSD, you know, where they talk about like people who want to go back to the war because they feel comfortable there. Like I wanted to be sick because I felt like I had like a purpose, like I was like surviving or something. Like I had, because then when I was in everyday life, it just felt like I was existing. But when I was there, it felt like I was fighting for my life, and it felt like significant. You know what I mean? It was this strange fucking mind.
So every day you like cherished every moment more. Dude, that made you literally because you always felt like you were about to die. So
this kept happening for
Nothing
5 years.
Nothing feel more alive than being close to death.
Dude, it's crazy. And so for 5 years, they wanted to put me. They gave me 2 doses of antibiotics to a degree.
How old were you?
I was 21, and so this was I'm 26 now, so 5 years ago.
Out here living it.
And so I at that point I was like, all right, I know that after this second round of antibiotics, they're gonna put me on infusions of like methotrexate, which is essentially chemotherapy, which it suppresses the immune system, and so I was like, it doesn't make sense to suppress the immune system. Like in my mind, if I can get through flare-ups and figure it out, my immune system is going to be like, oh, okay, next time it comes around, I know how to handle this a little bit better. You know what I mean?
All the mind wants to do is adapt.
Yeah, and so literally, I was like, just because I don't know why, perhaps because I was willing to step into it in that place, I was presented with something by a friend who was like, yo, I know you're going through this thing. I watched this guy, his name's Daniel Vitalis. He does this thing called rewilding, where it's a lot of this like traditional medicines and ways of eating and things. And he's talking about these elixirs, and in the elixirs, he brought up something about autoimmune system that I wanted you to watch. He's like, disregard like everything else, you know, take what you can, but these 2 things pay attention to. And so he references reishi mushroom, which if you go around nowadays, everyone, like there's reishi coffees, there's reishi fucking supplements, there's all these things people are taking because it's known as a longevity supplement, like you can live a long time. And so they talk about the reishi mushroom, and they talk about it as an autoimmune system re-educator. So if your immune system's overactive or underactive, like someone who has AIDS, their immune system's underactive, so they can get sick and die, like an old person, they die from the fucking flu. My immune system was overactive, was attacking myself, which I associated with me doing a lot of substances and not taking care of myself for so long that it had built up this thing. So like now, because when I got sick, I had been vegan for a year. I had been all I'd been doing was smoking weed and taking mushrooms. I was the healthiest I'd ever been. I wasn't even drinking alcohol. I didn't drink for 5 years. And I was like, that was the healthiest I'd ever been. And then all of a sudden I got slammed in the face with this shit. And it was like, I felt like a little kid. So in my mind, it was like, if you're in a room with someone and somebody has the flu and you get the virus in you, you can kick that out of you and you wouldn't even know you had it. If my body even has to react to kick it out at that level, now it's like a kid who's been in a room all day. So it just did that. Now it's like, it's got all this energy. So now it just starts attacking me. So it literally just would attack me from the inside out. It was fucking insane. And so, so then they talk about the reishi mushroom. Then they talk about camu camu, which is a berry, which is the highest concentration of vitamin C, like naturally occurring. They talk about like oranges and shit like that. But this is a different thing.
It's like the ghost pepper.
Exactly.
Vitamin C.
Exactly.
I just want to say, I just bought reishi today.
Good shit.
I bought Paul Stamets to my community.
Dude, Paul Stamets and
reishi's in there.
Dude, Paul Stamets.
I love the synchronicity, bro.
Bro, Paul Stamets. Watch
That's
his new
crazy.
film. Watch his new film that come out, dog.
Just to make sure reishi was in there. I just got that.
See, and everyone's taking it. They don't even know this shit. I was supposed to be pretty much being on like chemotherapy essentially, and the camu camu, what it does, you've heard in psychedelics people talk about drink orange juice or something. It makes your trip fucking.
100%.
So I don't know how much of that is the same thing, but I always laugh because it's so funny that the camu camu, the vitamin C in it, allows the nutritional effects of mushrooms, any mushroom, including psychedelics, which is why what I talk about with my regimen when I do take psychedelics and things like that.
Right.
It allows it to be absorbed like 8 to 10 times more than it would be otherwise. So now you're taking that reishi mushroom, and it has a bunch of nutrients in it. If you dose it up with some camu camu, you're really absorbing everything. You're getting the most out of those things. And so the vitamin C dude, it's weird. Like, if you take mushrooms and dry them out in the sun, they actually absorb vitamin D from the sun, and like they become such concentrated vitamin D like sources, like vitamin D films, shit like that. Right. Mushrooms are not plants, and they're not animals. You know what I mean? Like, they're fucking in between us. Like, they breathe. They're like us. They breathe in fucking oxygen and breathe out carbon dioxide. It's insane.
They're the connection.
Like, they were here before anything. There wouldn't be trees and shit if it weren't for them.
100%.
And so beyond the psychedelics, the medicinal
narrative.
effects.
Right, exactly. Yeah. There's even now a continuing narrative in present food America that's talking about the fact that the only reason why meat even has a nutritional value is because some of the biggest meat eaters that we do, they all feed off grass.
Yeah.
So they're getting the nutrients through that, so we are essentially getting the second-hand nutrients from whatever they're consuming.
It's like, we need to eat that cow to get big as fuck. That cow eats grass all day.
Grass-fed situation.
That don't make any sense, dog.
That's really the big deal behind grass-fed, is because naturally that meat is carrying more nutrients because, compared to the other one that was, fed fucking estrogen and fruit loops.
Soy.
Yeah, exactly.
Estrogen and fruit.
You know what I'm saying? I don't give a fuck about this cow.
Yo, there's this wild theory that like humans evolved from fungi. It's like this theory, but like.
No.
Joe Rogan talks
I believe
about
everything
that.
evolved from
fungi.
That,
like, we are all just
we're
a growing fungus.
That's the...
Bro, Terrence McKenna is the originator of the Stoned Ape theory. He fucking he's fucking on it. That shit is dope as fuck. And then Dennis McKenna, his brother, is still alive. Bro, it makes sense. Like, we came from monkeys.
For those who are listening,
it makes more sense than
when we mention this guy's name. So Google him.
Terrence McKenna, dog. I got my philosophers for days, bro. If anyone ever has questions.
With camu, and then it started.
So dude, literally it was crazy. And so at that point I was like, I had like 2 pills of this antibiotics left, and I was like, I can't take those because if I get sick again and I'm really like dying, I need to fucking dose that bitch up. You know what I mean? And so and so I was like, all right, I'm not gonna touch those. I've been trying. I was in Sedona. I was trying every holistic thing possible. People of all sorts were telling me they could heal me. And I was in such a place where I really believed them, and everyone was just trying to take money. You know what I mean? That's what it ended up at the end of the day. And it was like, I felt like at the end of the day, I could turn back to Mother Earth. And Paul Stamets, shout out to him, because he fucking is the one who goes through the time and energy to create this, to take this and create an environment for these mushrooms to flourish, and then capsule them and give them to people for their use. Because otherwise, I would be dead, because I'm not going to go on chemotherapy, you know what I mean? And so
it deteriorates you as a person.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, the effects negatively that it can have on your body, it literally ages your body.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's something that you would consider like a flame to a moth. Like, your body instantly reacts negatively and exponentially reacts negatively. You know what I mean? It's not just like, this is bad. Like, you'll have fucking really bad days on chemo, and I'm really glad that it is a medical procedure that is phasing out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's not as many numbers and statistics of chemotherapy being a natural go-to for cancer and like other.
Like, a lot of people are looking for the alternatives now.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we're going back to Mother Earth.
Yeah, exactly.
Really trying to. We understand now that we have all this information that it's basically these pharmaceutical companies just trying to make money, and they're fucking us and killing us, and just, you know, the healthcare system and everything. It's a big scam.
And you know what's funny is the people that are holding back this progression, this revolution, because they want to make $1, they're just scared at the end of the day. But guess what, guys? We're all going to fucking evolve. The moment you give this up and just let poverty be okay and let other things, you're a fucking greaseball. You're going to live in this society enough. You're going to build a new scheme within this society to start fucking people over, and the game's going to continue. You guys are not out of a job, all right? Don't worry about your job security. Your big CEOs. You'll figure out another way to scam us hopefuls. Let's just fucking speed up the process so we can get some things.
That shit is dead, bro.
We're on the front lines of evolution, man. It's crazy, you know.
So you took a chance with your life and you tried this out. And Camu, you're talking about the little fruit from the tree, right?
Yeah. And so it's a little berry, and they have capsules of it. It's bullshit because back in the day when this first happened, I could get it in a form that was, the capsules were a tan powder. And the tan powder was raw form. Now you can only find it in a pink form, and it's been processed again. And it scares me sometimes because when I take the reishi without the camu, it doesn't have the same. It doesn't work as well. But yeah, so those two helped me tremendously. And the whole thing about that too, getting back to it, was that when I got sick at that first part, every time I got sick. But those 2 times specifically at the beginning, right after I'd started playing music, though they were so significant because if I didn't have the guitar at that point, I don't know what I would have done. And so it became a bonding point for me with music because all I did when I couldn't sleep and do these things was write and play guitar for like a month straight. That's all I did.
Which is such a beautiful thing that your mind went there instead of other routes. Because it just could have easily chosen routes that it could have been.
Bro, I tried to watch TV and I'm hallucinating fucking Chick-fil-A. And I'm like, no. Alright, shit. I need to like go out into the woods. Like, it's crazy. It was insane, you know what I mean?
So that's why you've been in Sedona for the last few years.
Yeah. And so it was like, I just had to get the fuck away from everything. And then right before that, they told me I had a fucking tumor in my kidney. My liver was, all these things were telling me all this shit. And like, I was walking around with a heart monitor and all this bullshit. And, I was like, dude, I don't want to be doing this. Like, I don't. And I'm like, I'm dropping out of college and I'm leaving to Sedona.
So
and it worked out.
Let me get this straight. You moved yourself away from all of those destructive situations and feelings and health risks through natural homeopathic remedies and belief.
Yeah, I mean, it was a trial and error, you know what I mean? And like, it's one of those things where like, sometimes I don't know how much of it is just like the mind more than anything. That is like, did the reishi do that, or did I just believe that? And now I got it.
That's real.
You know what I mean?
That's what like
I don't know. You know what I mean? I believe way too strongly in myself sometimes. You know, I'm not invincible, but I'm like, dude, like
you're a fighter.
Yeah, exactly. Like I want to try this first. I don't want to fucking like just go to someone else for the answer. It's like, let me try and see if I can work this out. I'll ask for help. I'm not petty. You know what I mean? It's like. But like, I never like. I always say there's certain type of people like that get shit done. It's like the first thought in their head is never, I can't do that. There's certain people that are like, you do this? You've never done it before? Yeah, okay, let me go do it. You know what I mean? You fuck it up, you do try it again. You know what I mean? You fuck it up a million times and fucking.
That's just so crazy, man. And it's just like, no, I'm straight. Yeah, Matt.
Matt.
Oh, my bad. I threw that way too hard.
That was a fucking Tom Brady demon.
It worked out. It's still lit. You know what I'm saying?
That was like the Mick Jenkins video.
Yeah, if we can run that in slow
motion. Yeah, slow motion. Can we play that back in slow mo, Matt? Later, got it. Cool.
We need to buy. Matt had a fast pitch glove.
Bro, that was a fastball, dog. That had some heat on it.
I don't know what that was. I meant to live it, but something like it flicked. Whatever.
That was so serious.
It is lit.
Yeah, I mean, it's still lit. That's all that matters.
It landed right in his mouth.
Dude.
So through that time, or when you finally got out, met Matt, or
so
you met Matt before then?
Yeah, I met Matt, and then when I got sick and all that stuff, and then at that point, when I wasn't sick and things like that, I was hitting him up, and we were recording out of a little fucking closet. You know what I mean?
So that was the shit that I was hearing.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember him showing me your guys' stuff and like your guys' stuff and shit like that, and it just like all kept leading up, and it was like. It was crazy, you know what I mean? It's just like a process, and like I couldn't have ever expected things to be where they are. Like.
Oh no!
It's better to let it fall. To be quite honest, I don't even know why we make the attempt to catch it.
If you would have caught it like this and just went, that was like the best situation.
Yeah,
ninja points. I tried. For sure. The best part about that is if you can keep your face while you do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you don't want to seem stunned.
Do it like a thug
yourself.
I mean, because that would have looked real nice on the camera.
You're like, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
What?
And just Samuel L. Jackson the blunt. Just hit it, pass it.
But one thing that I noticed about you, since we got to spend more time together and speak, is your gratitude. And now I kind of understand that, like, because I never heard those stories. So that's why I'd love to have the opportunity to have you on here, and like that shit is crazy. That story, and now you're here.
Sometimes I feel like that's one of my, like, it's like, like they say, like, your greatest strength is your greatest weakness. Like, I live every day so much like I might die tomorrow that it's almost like
because you understand it way more than
it's like
any.
And it's literally like there were days where I was fine, and the next day I wake up and I can't talk now for a week because my mouth. And it's like that's why I make music like I do, because it's like, dude, I could wake up tomorrow and not be able to do this shit. Like I for real could not be able to do this shit tomorrow.
Wow, it's
crazy, and it like scares me sometimes. You know what I mean? But I there's a part of me, like, I remember like being in the hospital bed and being like, just let me fucking live, and I swear to God, I will make music every fucking day. I will not use my voice to like. I like to say, to just waste it, you know what I mean?
Because your word is the most powerful thing. Like, I couldn't imagine how it would feel if I lost the ability, to like, speak, especially as an artist. Like, that's deep, man. That's deep.
It was interesting.
Yeah, I would definitely sacrifice other senses before.
Yeah.
I would sacrifice my voice.
Yeah. It was an interesting thing, you know what I mean? And it was a humbling experience. It was like a vision quest. That's what I describe it as. It was like the first month was very gnarly, but after the first, it was gnarly because I didn't know what I was going through, and after that it got easier, because I knew it was gonna get bad. But the first time I was like, I'm dying, this is it. I didn't.
Still here,
but
I mean,
making dope ass music.
Yeah, I mean, what an incredible story, and I'm super honored that you felt open enough to give that on the pod.
Oh, I love sharing.
Much love, much respect for that journey and the progress that you've come through. The culmination of who you are is dope. So I can't, like you said, I can't wait to see what you do in 10 years. A question that I wanted to ask was, are there elements of martial arts, whether it be perspective or procedure or training or whatever the case, are there elements of your martial arts background that translated naturally into your music?
I think just like how much thought process goes into it. Like with Shaolin Kung Fu, you're in there as a little kid and you're looking at these like charts of acupuncture charts going over the whole, all these systems and all these strange little things, and they're talking about each movement. Like for instance, like one of the movements they teach you is called Tiger Climbs Mountain. And like you like hit him on the top of the hand, you hit him over here, you hit him over here, you hit him over here, and these are all stomach points. But even though they're not on the stomach, and then the final blow is to the stomach because you've been compromising the stomach through hitting these small little points and hitting this and this and this, and so that's the fatal blow.
Holy
and so the
shit.
amount of thought process.
So it's like as if you were just going in on his rib cage for like 3-4 hits.
Yeah, exactly.
For the culmination of that hit.
Exactly. Yeah.
Whoa.
But it's not even necessarily just the stomach. Like there's stomach points up here. There's stomach points all throughout the body. So that's how. So like there's literally stomach points and I mean heart points, lung points everywhere throughout the body. So that's how the detail that these thoughts go to. And so that's what they're like. That's what we were learning about. And that's what every movement had like a lot of thought behind it and things like that. And then so transitioning it into music. Sometimes like I've never thought of it like that. But sometimes I feel like if I had to say, it would be like how I approach, because I produce a lot of. I mean, I produce everything. There's 99% of the stuff I have, I probably made the beat, and then writing and doing editing and everything like that. There's a lot of layers to it, and so it feels similar to like how, just like I like things to be complex sometimes, but to make it look simple.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like, damn, that's a lot going on, but it sounds like it's like just like water. It's clean.
Complicated simplicity. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I feel like a good example of that in the music industry is Kid Cudi.
Totally, yeah.
He can say a lot and be a lot and make you feel a fuck ton of a lot by doing so little.
Exactly.
Yeah. You know, another one outside of that genre is Bjork.
Yeah.
Bjork is extraordinary at having tiny elements in music that will completely change your perspective on that song.
Yeah.
You thought you were here, and then literally one sound, not even a lyric, will take you into a completely different setting. Yeah. You're like, oh, nigga, I didn't know it was snowing. What the fuck?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I love that.
Bro, everything has a complete
those
different
elements
vibe
are beautiful in music and in martial arts.
Yeah.
And it's funny that you say that, because now thinking about it, I feel like the greats in both have the trait of beautifully placing unpredictable yet extremely memorable moments in their performance. Whether it's a fucking 5-round UFC championship bout or a fucking Grammy nominated hit. Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's what
Kanye West, John Jones. Like, you cannot expect either one of them, but you can expect quality.
Yeah.
And you can expect, if you are not going to be on your ass, like, it's gonna be ridiculous.
Yep. Joe Rogan.
Bad example for you, but you know what I'm saying. You get my point.
Yeah, I get you. Like, cause that makes perfect sense. Cause Joe Rogan and Robert Downey Jr. had a podcast, and they were talking about that shit. Like, some of those moments, like, they don't even understand, like, how you're talking about martial arts. They were comparing it to actual arts, like Robert writes. I almost called him Tony. Robert writes songs and shit, and like, he used to make music and shit. And he like compared that, like, you look back, you don't know where it came from. It's like, and then Joe compared it to like a counterpunch. You know, like how you like some boxers just say it, like, but it takes like the practice, the discipline to keep on doing it 100%. And believe in yourself. And then like, it is like that. You feel like that when you are creating, like, you'll listen to it 100 times, because it doesn't, like, where did I like, it doesn't feel like you at some point. You're there the whole time. You write that shit. You put it down. You in your case, you like, produce the shit. And it's like, you'll listen to it, and it's like, where did that come from? And then like, most of the time when I'm listening back to my songs, I'll be like, there's way deeper meanings that I said that
you
shit.
Didn't even know.
Like, I'll listen to like the triple, quadruple entendres that will go on just in my personal life that nobody may understand, but for some reason I grabbed that from the ether and put that shit in my verse. And when I'm listening back, it's like, that was meant to happen. Nobody can know where these ideas come from. It's like, all these shits are floating out there, and we have to be in tune to the right vibration to grab those shits.
Right. And, I mean, honestly, it's the God-given right. You know what I mean? We're the only animal that conceptualize, and we're the only creature on this earth that can conceptualize to that level. And so we need to start utilizing that shit more, man. Like,
we are, man. It's an evolution.
Yeah, absolutely. But there's nothing greater to me than the feeling of being mid-tapped in. You know what I'm saying? When you are mid-spur momentum growth of an idea, and you're building, like, for me, if I'm writing a verse and I get momentum with my verse and I start getting the fucking sauciest shit ever, bro, and I just keep on going, and it's just like, that feeling right there, like, straight the fuck up, like, if it was like a fork in the road choice every day between like that feeling and a nut, I would probably choose that feeling more times than I would choose the nut. And I'm talking like fucking good, like, 5 days. You were at a church camp, nigga, came back, you know what I'm saying? Like, your mind was on other things. Like, this shit is a good, passionate, but that one, compared to that momentum building, like, hair standing up on arms moment when you know you have a creation that is going to be forever.
Right.
That shit is dope. And that can be translated outside of the art world. People get that rush when they find that equation. People get that rush when they find that architectural structure, that fucking comedic, you know, well, that's art, you know what I mean? But like, you know what I mean? Like, it's all translated into that creation of being like, I got it. That's like innate within humans to be the greatest feeling ever next to like love.
It's like
you know what I mean? Like I would say like love's got it.
Yeah.
Love's got it. But like
I would argue that the act
that
of
is
creation,
love.
I would argue that the act of creation is low key above love or on the same level.
Exactly.
I would say that the art of creation is above love.
It's beyond all of that.
If they are separate things.
Yeah.
But that's just my.
Well, if you're creating from a real place, like the music that we make, like
the
what I try to do, like
be in love,
yeah, I feel like it's, I don't know, it might be better than love for me, just because like I said, the word is the only thing we got. That's our power to create. Like that's the power to sculpt our word. That's why podcasts are important. Like. Because we're putting this out there right now and we're cementing it. Like,
right. I feel like creation is you creating just with you, and love is you creating with another person. So, you know what I mean? Like, you're your own experience first. Like, it's just you in this life. Low key.
You're going to die alone.
Yeah, so.
This is for you.
So creation is love by itself.
Love is.
Creation is love by itself.
Arguably. That's perspective.
Yeah.
That's hard.
There's like the thing I talk about, like I think like Ram Dass, who just passed away. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Ram Dass. He talks about like when people are in like this is one of my he's one of my favorite people, but and I express this to a lot of my friends and stuff because I feel like our culture reinforces certain ideas about love and things like that, and when people come together in love, it's like they think it's like a lock and key, but when you're in love, like if I'm in love. I see love in everything. I love all of you guys for being here. I love everything. I'm in love. I see love in all of this stuff. And so,
God damn it, bro! This nigga's soft, bro. Get this nigga on stage, bro.
Get him some bird, dog.
God damn.
And so when it comes down to like two people coming together to create a union, a lot of people like come together as a lock and key. But it's like if you're in love. You know what you see that and you're in love, then we can come together in love. But we aren't in love, like dependent on one another. We're choosing to be in love together. We are here together and we both see that and acknowledge each other.
People use the word love too casually.
Yeah, nowadays.
They don't understand
exactly.
When you really love something, it's that moment. When you have the hair standing up on every part of your body and you're really in the moment. That's love. Like it's not about looking at somebody and posting them on the internet it's not about that shit. People just throw that shit out. I love that shit. You love food. You love that. You love that's not real love. Like if you understand the meaning of true love, it's that thing that drives us. At the end of the day, like we're taught to ignore it. We're taught to block it out and just judge everybody. But the thing is to love everybody, right?
Right. And I feel like even to add on to that, we do use it in those facets 100%. And I feel like we also use it to create a materialistic standard.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like a lot of the times, like it's a known faux pas in America that women grow up visualizing their wedding or visualizing their relationship and who they're going to spend their time with. But what I feel like that created was the stigma of I'm going for the relationship experience. They're not necessarily invested within the person and the individual that they're having that experience with. Maybe they're incompatible. Maybe they're even toxic for one another. But this person provides stability. This person provides the outside picture in which I have achieved that standard in society. I am in love. You know what I mean? I am in love, and they convince themselves of that, and they use it as that materialistic standard. You know what I mean? And I think that's kind of the Americanized way. You know, and I haven't fucking traveled outside the U.S., so maybe I'm ignorant, but I believe, as of right now, that is the Americanized way of love. It's become a marketing plateau.
Charles Bukowski was one of my favorite poets. I have a tattoo of one of his poems on my chest. He said, like, in order for the world to get better, the first thing is the immediate Disneyfication of our youth. That Disney, in the ideas of Prince Charming and these ideas of these things that are so ungrounded. They I feel like as you progress from being a child to death, there's certain stages, and at one point in our youth we hit an imagination stage where we start to like think about imaginary friends to an extent, or this and that and things.
100%.
But all that stuff.
We conceptualize beyond what is in front of us.
And sometimes, and what culture has done is it's reinforced us to never step out of that. So a lot of people are living life like it's a movie, even though it is. You know what I mean? Like, we see it. It's fucking trippy. But there's literally motherfuckers who think that they take it for granted still. You know what I mean? It's like, yo, like, you're not gonna come back when you die. That's not how this works. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. It's like because I talk to people all the time. Like, I believe in reincarnation. Like, if I talk to anyone and I ask them who they are, you say,
but you are not gonna come back when you die.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean? The culmination of who you are and your thoughts and processes and your decisions and what would
you
happen.
Die when you die.
When
you die.
When you ask
you
someone,
might come back, but not you.
If you ask someone who they are, they say, I'm Josh, I'm this, I'm that. It's like, I am. We're all I. I is constantly reincarnating. As far as coming back as an individual person, you're going to have to talk to someone else. I don't know that shit. I'm not saying it's not real or not. I've never experienced it. I can't give away my immediate experience because that gives away my power. If somebody asks me why I know something and I say, oh, because Factor told me, that's not like a good reason. It's like, you want to give someone something so they say, oh, because of this. You know what I mean? And that's what a lot of people do. They're like, oh, you're a psychic. Oh, you talk to angels. You this, that, and the other. It's like, and I have to believe that because you. I'm not saying it's not real. I'm saying that I can't believe it because if I do, I'm giving my power away. That's my immediate experience. Like, that's the only thing that I have in this life. Is my immediate experience. I can't have your experience. You know what I mean?
Have you seen American Gods?
No.
That's the whole thing. Is like you believing in a God, you're giving power to that thing, and it becomes a real thing.
Yeah.
You know, without belief, they start dwindling down.
Yeah.
That whole show was about the old gods versus the new gods, and how people are now giving their energy to new gods, like technology. And science, and the old gods are dying.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
That's
trippy as fuck, bro.
You know what? And like earlier in the podcast, we talked about reoccurring things throughout history kind of being staples of truth, and I feel like that theme has also been societally bound. You know what I mean? Like that's essentially Freddy Krueger. You know what I mean? The staple of Freddy Krueger's power was the belief and the fear that he existed.
Bro.
You know what I mean? So the moment he grew, the moment he was able to actually pop out the motherfucking dream and cut you up in the real world, nigga, like that, he got so powerful to that point where he could do that, but he materialized off of the belief, which all is fundamentally rooted into the law of attraction and the conceptualizing thoughts.
But
thoughts become things.
Yeah. I get crazy sometimes though because I don't believe that good and evil is any different. I believe they're extrinsically different but intrinsically the same. Like, it's like if you go to a fucking movie or play, it's easier to put it this way. It's like if you go to a play and somebody, like, the actors are doing all the work to make sure that you're invested in it. Like, when they're walking up, you're like, oh shit, he's about to get stabbed, and you feel like that's your friend or something. You know, you feel invested in it. But then somebody yawns or coughs, and you're like, oh shit, we're in the movie. And like that sensation kind of happens in life sometimes. Where you're like, what is this? And so it's like at the end of the show, all the villains and all the good guys, they come out and they take off their masks and they bow together because there wouldn't be a show without it. And it's like, it's like every game we play needs black and white. It's like, so you have to love the people that you hate, because the hippies have to love the police, because you wouldn't be hippies if they weren't for the police. Right. You wouldn't have something to stand for. Imagine, and like this is like Alan Watts. I don't know if you guys have. Alan Watts is the fucking my spirit animal, bro. He talks about it like this. He's like, if you could dream any dream you wanted, every night you could dream 100 years in one night. You would do that. You would do everything you could imagine. You would fulfill all your greatest fantasies, lusts, greeds, gluttony, everything you could do. And you would explore everything. So you're God, essentially, in this scenario. You could do everything. And you know that. And so you do this over and over again, and you do everything eventually. Until eventually you're like, all right, let's fucking do something where I don't know what's going to happen at the end. So you have a dream where you let go of control a little bit, and you come back, you're like, holy shit, that was crazy. And then the next day, you're like, all right, let's let go of a little bit more control. And then eventually you would dream the dream of the life you're living right now. Because if we were God, we've already done everything there is to do, and the only thing left to do is to create a situation where we don't know what's going to happen again. It's like, all right, here we are. Like, we've done everything. We're fucking lonely. Like, let's create
and that's essentially the root of free will.
Yeah, and it's like black and white.
You know what I mean? Because giving the root of every individual species or every individual entity among the big entity to act freely among itself is the ultimate writing to the ending. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Anything could be anything at this point in time on this planet. Yeah.
That's the basis of sacred geometry.
Yeah, literally. Yeah.
Like, it started off like with one guy that started creating. It did everything.
Right.
And now it made this however many dimensional world.
Exactly.
And now we just roll the dice. Like, let's just figure it out. And that's where we are right now. That's why this is why I love having you on the podcast, because this is the root of the shit that we're always talking about. Exactly. These are the conversations that we're always having, like good versus evil. Like it thoughts become things. It's like the placebo effect. Yeah. Like, do you believe in crystals?
I like the idea of them. I think that everything is more so like, it's like everything's how would I put it? Everything's like it's like a doorway, but it all takes you to the same place. So it's like, some people use yoga to get there, some people use drugs to get there, some people use this to get there, and so it's like, does the water that you put on your forehead when you walk into the church, is it any different than regular water because it's been blessed? It's like, but you believing that is significant. And that's why, like, when I do a lot of, like, psychedelics and things like that, like, I would literally, when I would first do it, I would make mushroom tea, and I would do this process where I would, like, walk barefoot to this fucking spring by my house, collect water, I would take leaves and, like, put intention into each leaf, put it into the river, and, like, let it go. And then I'd take that water, I'd bring it back to the house, walking barefoot, being very, like, cautious of my step, and bringing mindfulness to my surroundings and things like that. And then I would get there, and I don't believe in crystals. I don't believe in anything. I tell people, I'm like, do you see this beer can? Like, I believe this is here with everything in my fucking being. And just as much as I believe that, I believe it's not here. Like, I don't like nothing. I feel like I have no guard up, and like people walk around with like fist up, ready to like defend stuff, and I'm like, I don't believe in anything. I mean, I'm willing to listen to it all, because I really have been way too out there for any one thing to scare me, any idea. I'm just like, that's a crazy idea. That's a crazy story. Like, it's not real or false. It's just experience.
But you don't necessarily have to feel fear to commit to a belief.
No, I mean? Yeah. I know. That's a hard one for me sometimes, because I'm like, contrast is a real thing. So it's like, when people say like, oh, you don't need to know the dark to know the light. It's like, you kind of do, and it sucks. You know what I mean? It's like, you literally can't, like, Yeah. And it's not that. It's the way I look at it is like, sometimes I turn people the wrong way, because I'll be like, I don't trust people, and it's like, not that I don't trust them. It's that I wouldn't go to them for advice, because I don't think that they have a spectrum, like when people, like a lot of people around me, they want to live, they want to be happy, they want to love, they want to live in like stability. The peace, love, happiness kind of hippie movement, right? So like, I talk shit on hippies all the time, because I'm like, bro, why do you want to paint with two colors? Every single one of these fucking emotions is a color. Anger is a color. All this is a color. I wouldn't make the songs I did if I wasn't angry. It's not good or bad. You have to use it like a color. You have to realize what it is. If you're angry right now, if I told you to paint a picture, how would you paint that picture? You might paint something very beautiful and calming. I would probably throw the fucking paint can at the wall, the bucket. It's the same energy. We're both angry. It's just painted differently. So don't get upset because you don't like how it looks. It's just the same thing. It's all, we understand anger. We understand love. Everyone knows what this shit feels like. It sucks, it's fucking heavy at times, and it's equally as beautiful. And the deeper you go low sometimes, the deeper you go high sometimes, but it's like, all of those things are not bad or good, and people, like, it hurts me sometimes that people want to be happy all the time. I'm like, that is a terrifying idea. Like, this really is like, you don't want to do that. Enlightenment is like, if you became enlightened, you would realize you're everything. And if you realize you're everything, I would sit on this couch and I wouldn't feed myself. I wouldn't drink water. I wouldn't do anything. That's what happens when you take LSD for days in a row and things like that. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, like, you have to be grounded. We were God like that. We just came back here to do this. We're not supposed to be enlightened right now. We already did that. That's why we're here. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we know that. It's like, don't.
You said we've been woke. All right? We came down here to go to sleep.
Exactly.
Stop trying to wake up, my nigga. This is the whole point.
Exactly. We're watching a movie.
Yeah,
right now,
that's
bro.
why we're always trying to fight it. Yeah. Like, we're always trying to go back and try to experience that. Like, when I did DMT, like, that was probably the closest thing to, like, God or whatever, like, this is.
Source.
But it always brings you back, because that was my shit on a shroom trip that I went on. It was like, I realized that I could be, and I was, everywhere and everything at one time. All the time.
Yep.
And I can bounce back and forth and choose where I want to go. Yep. And sometimes it will take me to places I don't want to go.
Yeah, exactly.
But I always came back here. I always have to remind myself that I'm here. And I've been trying to figure out for some reason, like, but now it kind of puts it in perspective. You kind of solidified it for me, like, we've done everything.
Well, yeah.
And this is our experience to do something else. Just give it a go. And we're still powered by that God, which is love. Yeah. And it brings creativity. It brings, like, how we attract people. Like, just having you in this room after having all the conversations. And just think about your life experience. Everything that built up to this fucking moment right here.
Right.
It's meant to be. We're just trying to experience. We're trying to find love. We're trying to get back to the closest thing that we got to God while we're experiencing this.
Then we'll probably
human, I don't know what's going to happen experience. Right. We can still control it and bring ourselves to that love, but it's just about how you think and what you believe in.
And I tell my friends that are artists all the time, like, I'm like, yo, if you really want to be an artist, like, you almost sign like a social contract with God or the universe, because if you want to make songs, and so it's like I tell them to just, because sometimes for me this thought brought meaning to me, made everything make sense. It was that if you want to be an artist and you accept that, and there really is something out there, or us watching this and helping write this, that if you would open yourself up to all the emotions in order to translate them. So it's like, if you want to be an artist, get ready to have heartbreak, all the trials and tribulations, love, the highest highs, all that stuff. Because if you want to make a song about heartbreak, you want to make a song about drugs, you want to make a song about killing yourself, you have to know those things, because otherwise it's insincere. And so it's like, it's a hard thing,
That's
but
crazy.
It's like you're like a soldier of peace. You know? Right. It's like a warrior of peace.
And you know what's funny, man? I always say God doesn't care about the struggle. He cares about the lesson. Mm-hmm. That's it. So if you're asking as a human who has no fucking idea the ramifications of the real question that you're asking over and over again, God, I want wealth. God, I want peace of mind. God, I want to be stronger as a person. And you pray this shit every day. God is understanding that, okay, so he sees all the routes immediately and he chooses this one because I feel like it's the most beneficial for you. And you're on that route, and you want more strength, well, you're going to have to break your fucking leg. And you're going to have to learn to walk again. And guess what?
Exactly.
You may have prayed for strength, and now you're pissed off because God ruined your strength. Nah, dog. When you're done with this, your mental strength is tenfold.
Exactly.
So, like, he doesn't see the struggle. He sees the struggle. He sees it all. But he doesn't give a fuck about the struggle. He cares about the lesson and what you're asking. So if you're asking to be an artist and you're signing this social contract with God to say, I want to be a vessel of creation musically, then exactly. He's like, all right, cool. I'm going to open you up, and I'm going to give you all the avenues in which to express yourself.
Exactly.
Get the fuck ready.
Yeah, exactly.
So
it's like, that's what I tell people. I'm like, you ready for this? Because if you really want to do it, you know what I mean? That's
Get ready. Like, don't feel so bad about that fucking breakup. Feel that shit, but understand you got an album coming.
You have to feel it, though.
Translate
you can't just let go. You have to know that it's going to be applied and used as fuel.
I see it more on like a path of
It's a
least
motherfucking
resistance. Not necessarily like God saying, this is what you do, but like, we're in this like three-dimensional plane. And you know how like water and other things choose the path of least resistance. Like on a microchip board, they create a path of least resistance for like the electricity to follow.
Yeah.
Right. It's like the law of attraction also works in the path of least resistance, because the universe works like least effort. Right. So like you ask for something, you're putting out that vibration. You know, why is he gonna bring a car that's 2,000 miles away when there's a car around the block? Just as a loose example, you know what I mean? Or
100%.
the universe.
Yeah.
So like, if you're asking for strength and you weren't specific in your request, you know, the universe gave you mental strength in the form of learning to deal with this broken leg. You know what I mean? Or whatever. You know
right.
What I mean?
It can be translated in 1,000 different stories, but yeah, exactly.
Whatever point that you were standing in, like the path of least resistance kind of takes form. That's the way I understand it. I could be wrong. You know
I firmly believe that. And if you had the map of the law of attraction, like the quintessential hindsight 2020, and you understood that you have the choice of either grinding it out for 25 years and getting this record deal and kind of getting fucked about it, but you get a little bit of exposure enough to create enough buzz once you're individual, but it does take some time, or remaining a fucking independent artist and rising through the ranks and building your brand and making a collaboration with a clothing deal, but that happens 25 years later, but that boost is there. You're probably going to take that one. That sounds a lot easier. It sounds a lot fucking nicer, and that's good. But we don't have that quintessential hindsight 2020. We're in the moment. We're asking for it at that moment in time. And maybe the universe has already calculated that. Maybe it's giving you the routes that are already butterfly affecting you into that situation.
Yeah.
And it's in effect, but you don't see this shit right here. You don't see the progress. You don't see the dollars in your hand or the fucking bitches popping in front of you. So you quit. You go off that path. You lose that momentum. You compress that passion. And you take yourself away from that grand law of attraction.
Yeah, that's what Joe Rogan and Robert Downey Jr. got into that too. Is like getting out of your own way and just letting it happen. Sometimes we're on this ride. We don't know what's gonna happen. Just
enemy, dude.
Let it happen. Like let it go. Sometimes, like you just realize that you don't have control. Like in Buddhism, like. Everybody's gonna suffer. Yeah, just know that suffering exists, and it's going to happen.
It's not a good or bad thing. It's like there's a story where Ram Dass talks about going on this spiritual journey where he's out in India, fucking pretty much on a vision quest, walking around barefoot in the desert for weeks on end with this dude, and he gets to this point. And he's like, "Yo, man, I feel like shit. Like, I don't know how I feel about this anymore. I'm tired. I'm starving. Like all this stuff."
Right.
And so he looks at me and goes, "Feelings are like waves. Don't hold on to them. Like they're always passing." And so he's like, "Okay." And he goes and he leaves and he goes and he meditates on that. And he comes back to him and he goes, "All right, like I'm good. I feel so much better now that I did that and meditated on that. Like thank you." And he turns around and he goes, "Feelings are like waves. Cause like don't even hold on to the good ones. Like they're all the same thing, bro. It's all the same
dope.
Thing. Like don't you
I
can't."
like the message behind that.
It sucks, but it's like, bro, you have to take things as they come. You know what I mean? You have to take people as they come. You have to take things as they come. You have to be patient with yourself and patient with people around you as well.
Because holding on to the good ones is going to make you suffer more.
Exactly.
Than the bad ones coming
exactly. Yeah, you just got to take people as they come.
Or you could even hold on to a good one so long that because they're there at a time where they shouldn't be anymore, they become
fucked up. Yeah, you can fucking do it.
It's waves, so that's not who you are anymore.
Sometimes we become so attached where somebody is like, you look at them like your arm or something like that, like it's a part of your body, and it's like we have to remember, like we're all individuals, and like you have to go through that door by yourself. Nobody can walk you through that.
You know what's funny? You said that. I'm a firm believer in everything is everything. I've said that a lot on the podcast, and I'm a big believer in that. You know, you could even call me a chaos theorist because I do believe in that balance, and I believe in the true understanding of accomplishment through the understanding and experience of struggle. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But I was rooted, like, my motivation behind that was freedom. Because, like, I don't fucking know why. Like, maybe I was a revolutionary throwing tea over a fucking ship in my past life. But I'm a big, like, don't tell me what to do. Don't hold me back. You want to do this. Like, I can't fucking stand it. Yeah. I'll be the one with the Molotov cocktail standing in the middle of the freeway. Like, I don't know. Like, that type of shit just riles me up. And it got to a societal standpoint for me young. Like in middle school, I remember sitting in classroom and having these thoughts of like these other motherfuckers that are always the bad guy or like this dude, but they had a button. Yeah. You know what I mean? So every time a person would act this way towards them, they by now societal standard have to act this way because they're considered the real nigga of the classroom. Or they're considered the class clown of the classroom. Or they're whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? Like you're supposed to be exactly. You're supposed to wear the suit. So I found freedom in that, and like my time being spent in the idea of wanting that freedom, it naturally progressed into understanding that everything is everything because it freed my tether and emotion to happenings in my life. You know, like I felt a way, like
have you seen that?
Like I felt a way about experiences that happened. Yes, I would still have sad days, mad days, and situations like that. But even in the most darkest times, I would be able to find a way to find a situation, or maybe even eventually find a situation where I can take a direct positive from that situation, a positive, almost instant repercussion that happened as a result of that, and it allowed me to strategically navigate myself and have the freedom to choose the character that I wanted and not just necessarily be a victim of the experiences in my life.
Exactly.
And I'm not saying that that's an easy situation or just like fucking anybody can do it. And like I've never been through a lot of the traumatic situations that other people have, but just within the experiences in my life, that's allowed me to overcome. And it's fucking liberating to understand that's within yourself. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah, it's fucking crazy, man. It's really there's so much potential, and we are all so resilient, and that's the craziest part. Like,
yeah.
It's fucking gnarly.
Will Smith just said, be brave enough to kill the character you created.
Yeah,
exactly. That's exactly what you just said, you know, like, real shit.
Right. And that's an interesting concept, man, that we build up this character based off of insecurities or the way we want the world to perceive us, and then that even reaches a wall.
And if Will Smith said
that... Dude, I had it.
Like... Dude, because he's a character, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's
literally
right, 100%.
He embodies
it.
100%.
You know, God rest his soul. If Robin Williams said that, he's like, "You're a breathing character."
Exactly.
So I can understand.
I remember having a mushroom trip when I first moved up to Sedona, where I was like going through. I had been laying on.
Sorry to interrupt.
No. I had been laying on the ground for like a couple hours at this point. Everyone was at the house that day taking mushrooms, and I liked to wait till everyone left. And so at this point, it was just me, and my ex was asleep in the bedroom. And I was laying there for a couple hours at this point. I remember listening back to back. I had listened to Kid Cudi's Man on the Moon and then Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon. I was on like a moon vibe that night. And,
I like that.
it was fucking crazy. But so at one point, it was like you enter kind of like a trance state, almost like a sensory deprivation chamber once you've been sitting there that long.
Right.
And
we were just talking about that last week. I'm about to do one of those this year.
Yes, dude. Me too. I know. I love
Let's do it.
And so it's kind of like that. And
experiencing that with you would, I feel like, elevate that whole situation.
Take some edible stuff.
That's what I was saying.
That's what I said. Let me experience the situation at a base level. All right.
That is my base level.
I'm definitely. That's my base level.
My level of like internal delving is so fucking deep that if I'm already in a place that's going to heighten that, I'm not trying to add layers of that depth before I know what that depth is. You know what I'm saying?
Good man, dog.
It could already be a bottomless pit. And I'm just fucking making it. You know what I'm saying? I'm falling down. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like.
But I remember being in this state where it was essentially like it was a fucking this hallucination, and it felt like my first thought was like I'm a mouse or something. I'm just like this very small thing, and it was like blades of grass that were like this tall around me. And I remember it was the sensation that it was like dark outside, and I almost had like a headlamp on or something like that. There was like that kind of like light.
Interesting.
And I'm bolting through this fucking grass, dude. It's insane, right? Like at this point, I'm completely out of my body, and I'm bolting through this grass, and all of a sudden, I'm just like thinking, and I kind of am just like not anything at that point. Like I can really just see the wheels turning, and then all of a sudden, it's like a physical force. I stop and I feel it, and it's the most gnarly. Jesus Christ! It's the most gnarly fucking like firewall of every evil thing and gnarly thing you could ever imagine, like death, chaos, and everything. And so I look up at it.
So this is like personified in front of you.
Yeah, this is all behind closed eyes. You know what I mean? Yeah, right in front of me. And so I look up at it. My first thought, I'm like, oh, every one of our fears, anxieties, neurosis, loves, beauties, everything.
Darknesses.
It's just a mask that we put on it. And as soon as I said that, this fucking fiery witch voodoo hell scheme imploded on itself and turned into a mouse and then ran into the grass. And I started laughing so fucking hard, dog. My girlfriend woke up and she's like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "I can't even breathe." She's like, "I'm going back to bed."
You just understood it at that point.
That is so fucking cool. The fact
it was
that it
hilarious,
turned into
dude.
the thing that you originally perceived
it was so fucking
are
crazy. Yeah,
is so cool.
Significant as
it
fuck.
mirrored each other.
All
so
of those
weird,
things,
dude.
Bro, at the end of the day, all of
You
those
were
things
that.
are you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
that was just an extension of yourself.
Yeah,
So the moment you understood that that is as much of an extension of yourself as every positive thing,
it lost its power in a weird way.
Yeah,
wow.
and it's like when you do these substances.
That's what I'm talking about in terms of the freedom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's so crazy, bro.
With, like when you did that, like you sing that because you've done everything before.
Yeah, exactly. You've already done it all.
Yeah, you already done it all.
It's just like, hey, hello.
Yeah.
You're home. Remember? Don't forget. You know, it's just like a kind of weird thing. It's like when somebody chews the popcorn or something. You're like, oh yeah, this is a movie, or this is, we created this, not to call it a movie and downplay it in any way.
Yeah, like there was this dude. I read the story. It's been on Reddit for like 8 years, but I just seen it today. And it was this dude, like, he got knocked out, and he lived a whole life for 10 years.
Yeah.
And he had children. He had 2 children.
On some Rick and Morty.
And
on some Rick and Morty
and
shit,
look,
dog.
check this out, though. Yeah. One day, he was staring at this lamp. And there was something weird about the lamp, right?
Bro, I am so weak, bro.
Look, you're going to get way too existential right now.
Yeah.
It's going to trip me out. I already know what you're going to say.
Bro, you will never... Don't become a monk. Don't
Roy.
ever place yourself into a situation where you could remotely be aggressive, bro. If you got knocked out so bad that you lived a 10-year life, had ups, downs, struggles, a 401k plan, and then woke up in your life of a loss, nigga, the life you now live is over.
It's
you know what I'm saying?
No,
like,
but yeah,
over,
dude, like,
I did everything in my knocked out life. I don't need to do this. I have a knocked out.
Well, but he didn't even do everything. He just lived a completely different life. He found a wife. Yeah. He had 2 children. And his life was perfect.
It's like Roy and fucking Rick and Morty.
And then, it was like a different race or a time. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know, but he was looking at this lamp, and there was something wrong about the lamp. He said it was like inverted or something. Then he was just staring at it. And he was staring at it for days, he said. For weeks. His wife had left him and took the kids.
He's just stuck on it.
He was just stuck on this lamp, and there was something about it. And then as he was staring at this lamp, he slowly started to hear screaming and shit. And then he's like, wait a minute, this is a dream. And then he's back. Yep. Because you've done everything. It's just like when your lights go out or when you experience that shit,
so imagine,
you just go to a different place. And then you got to come back here. You always have to come back here until it's all gone. Yep. And then you'll come back to something else.
Exactly.
Imagine experiencing and being completely enraptured in the emotion of that experience through like multiple of them. Yeah. You know what I mean? And having something as simple as a lamp be the thing that be the glitch in your matrix. Yep. Like it starts as just a seed planted to be like, why does that look weird? I don't fucking know. And you go to work and you fucking come back and you're like, nigga, that plant. Honey, is a lamp like this?
Has it always been levitating?
Did we get a new lamp? You know what I mean? And we're like, no, it's cool. And then like that shit festers, but really it's your mind going, yo, that's not what the fuck a lamp looks like. Yeah. This shit is not real. That's not a lamp. And then your mind starts to going, and the moment it snaps to be like, oh, that's not a lamp. A lamp looks like this. Yeah. And everything else looks like this. Yeah. It's the tipping point. You know what I mean? So it wakes you back up.
Yeah. And when he came back, he was depressed. Crazy. Oh, like he was extremely depressed, like for years. And like he said, he'll go back and like he used to cry himself to sleep. Right. And wish that he would go back to that world. So and like he said, sometimes he could hear his son, but he looks and he can't see him.
That's crazy shit, dog.
What was the token that Leonardo DiCaprio used in Inception to let him know he was in a reality or not in a reality?
The top. The spinning top.
Yeah. Spinning top, right?
Kind of thing.
Right. His lamp was his spinning top. You know what I mean? Yeah, like that was the thing that like you
could be lived with that lamp
just
for years.
Spin it, and if it doesn't drop, you're like, oh nigga, I've been 2 weeks in this bitch. God damn it. I started a fake Netflix show. I can't leave now. I'm halfway through this binge, bro. You know
That's
what I mean?
Why every single movie is real because it happened before. It's just these ideas that we pull from the ether.
Exactly. It's so fucking unreal.
Everything is real.
Yeah, there's nothing.
Which means everything is fake, huh, Matt?
Yep. That's exactly it.
That is it, though.
There's 2 sides to each coin, man. It's fucked up. It's like, and not to say that it's like that's the funniest thing ever. Like they call it, like Terrence McKenna refers to it as the cosmic giggle. And on psychedelics, it's like I feel like it's something that I've experienced many times, and even in my daily life, where it's just that absurdity of life. And it's the funniest thing ever, and you realize that's the point. Because if we knew there was a God, It's like if a fucking in the clouds an angel presented itself and you pulled out your phone, that bitch would leave because you would be like, that's not the point. The point is not to capture this moment. The point that it's like because if you know, then you wouldn't act the same way. If you knew that God really existed like that, you wouldn't act the same way. And nobody can fucking. I mean, I'm like, that's a hard one for me to argue, and I love arguing. I'm like, you're right. You know what I mean? I would definitely, if I knew that there was a God, I would change. I don't think I'd act the same way. And if it was, especially if it was a God in the sense that I believe that.
That's what drives me is not knowing.
Exactly.
Like,
so that's why
it's not knowing anything.
Getting back
I don't
to why
know
we
if any of this is real.
Let's do something that we don't know what's gonna happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the thing. And I tell everyone
you just gotta let
all
go.
these crazy thoughts, and I go, but I just tell myself all this, so I don't kill myself. Pretty much, you know what I mean? It's like I don't know. I don't even believe what I'm telling you. I don't even believe what I'm telling you, and it's a paradox, and it's I feel bad for anyone who lives in this mind state. I'm like, nothing is real and nothing is fake. And I see people who realize it, and I'm like, how are you doing?
Yeah. That epiphany deserves an immediate temperature check. You're like, the moment you see the light bulb go off, you're like, the room's a little bit brighter. I'm sorry, are you okay?
Yeah, exactly.
How do you see more things now?
Yeah.
But, I mean, yeah, I get that. And it's like, it's funny how you can take that because I feel like there are a lot of people who would take that indecisive. They would translate that into indecisiveness, and that would morph into like a bleakness about the outlook of the world. To where if everything is everything and nothing has an inherent connotation, then why do I give a fuck about feeling anything?
Yeah, exactly.
So that route can also be taken, but I feel like it's all inherent within your perspective.
So the way that I put it to people all the time, because
So how can you change perspective at that point?
Exactly.
Because you can bring a person to the world where they're seeing all of this, but to the point where they can't take it in properly, what's the point of bringing them there? I feel like any person who has a deep passion for the exploration of the mind in the terms of law of attraction and vibration, and they want that to spread further in the world, a great deal of time is not only spent in talking about it, but it's also spent in understanding a way that it can be presented to people that aren't there. Because if you truly want it to be normal, it has to spread. Mm-hmm. And there are a lot of people that will naturally take this and have negative mind states about it. So a certain level of patience, a certain level of out-of-the-box thinking is going to need to be societally implemented if this is ever going to take on a fucking normalcy, which it needs to. Yeah, and, totally. I feel like that's evolution, Yeah,
absolutely, man. It's
so
fucking crazy. I got fucking hope for human beings then. Like, I feel like it's like one of those things where it's like, if it is like that, we all are one, and I'm having these thoughts. I know 100,000 other fucking people are having these thoughts and having these conversations. Because
we're all the same
like that.
thing. Yeah. We're all just, like, we're just...
I'm
materializing
just here to,
ourselves.
It's like buy the ticket, take the ride. Like I'm just on. I came here. I'm here. But then I have "born into this" tattooed on my chest. It's it's like a paradox. But yeah, man, it's fucking. It's.
Even when you're gone, you're here, bro.
Yeah. Right.
Like the Mac Miller album.
Yeah.
You never really learn. You just remember.
Yeah. Dude, fucking.
You know what I'm saying? Have you ever heard of the Akashic Records?
Yeah, dog. Yeah, hell yeah.
So you have a little bit more of a traditional background in this mindset. Uh-huh. So is there any cultures in which the Akashic Records are rooted? Because I understand the concept of it, but I don't necessarily understand maybe the origins of that thought. So for those to kind of say, the Akashic Records is an idea that it is a outer dimensional space where all of the knowledge that could ever be or was or could be is existing in one space. And essentially when you get an idea, it's to easily put it, a download from the Akashic Records. Yeah. So
ancient people knew that, and that's why they had those technologies.
Right, and there was a way to study through either meditation or sacred geometry to consciously and at will tap into the Akashic Records. And there have been known scholars, there's theories to where known scholars have unknowingly found a way to consistently do that. They didn't call it that. Maybe it was just their ritual in which they would go about doing it. And opening their mind, but they were really finding a way to consistently, like, it was their pin code into the Akashic records and allowed for beautiful things, exactly, and it opened the vessels, it allowed for them to create, what Bach has done, or what
Mac Miller has done
with his new fucking album,
or
you know what I'm saying, anything, you know what I mean? And it's just, it's a download. Yeah, so exactly. That's why it comes from the phrase, you never really learn anything, you just remember.
Yep.
Because the Akashic
Records. No ideas original kind of
Yeah,
thing.
So do you personally know about any, like, rootings to that? Because I just know about the idea.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, like, I feel like the past 5 years of my life, I feel like I spent so many years trying to learn things. And that I realize now I have to, like, unlearn things in my mind. So it's like there's so much things that people, like, I feel like we give more attention to that sometimes I'm like just just apply you don't that information is irrelevant, but it's also there. You know what I mean? So it's like all those things. You know, sometimes when it gets real trippy, I'm like, yeah, no, you guys know this is fucking wild. And then, you know, always comes to the point where it's like, all right, let's fucking work and let's do these things too once you surround yourself with certain people. But
absolutely.
It's fucking, you know, there's different type of people out there sometimes that, it's interesting. Especially being back here in fucking Phoenix. I was living out in the woods for so long. It's crazy just to see how much things change in, like, such a short time span.
This nigga out there like the cover of a Brawny towel. He said, yeah, I was just out there living.
He was out in the woods.
Yeah, I was, rubbing my ass on some records. I can't even
say
it, bro. I can't even say it. Bro, this nigga's like, yeah, I'm out there fishing with a fishing pole I made myself.
I got a stick and some hair. Yeah, that's why I grew my hair out.
This nigga's out here, Paul Bunyan, and he said, when I reached the land of cement and headlights, it was just a different changing experience. No, but it's so cool, and, like, I feel like there's a lot of CEOs and a lot of technology companies that have tapped into the Akashic records, and we're entering a conscious shift, and that's why, like, we got some fucking inventions coming, bro. Like, the CES convention, the conference came out recently, and there's a lot of things that are integrating technology into a lifestyle that I don't feel like I ever would see in my lifetime. Like, yeah. You know what I mean? Like. What is it? Sony's Bali? Is it? No. Who's
Samsung.
Bali? Samsung's Bali.
You already know what it is.
Oh my God! So they revealed this technology, this piece of technology.
It's R2D2.
Right. It's literally a ball. They say it's about the size of a grapefruit, and it's responsive. It'll follow you around. It'll keep a good distance and good responsiveness to the speed and the rate in which you walk and things of that nature. And it'll also be conscious of the other things around it. But the thing that fucking blew my mind, and they didn't really tell much about it, like, they kept a lot of the technology or what they're trying to do with it secret, but one of the things that it can do is read the room and the parameters and understand what's happening through that. Yeah. So, like, for instance, you create a list the night before of the things you need to do the next day. I got to do the laundry, I got to do the dishes, I got to go to the bank, I got to pay the bills, and this thing will follow you at a comfortable distance. And when it sees your body stance and it reads that you are paying the bills through its visual receptors, it will check that thing off the list and remind you what you have left. I don't like that, bro. So it can now conceptualize its viewfinder in front of you to understand the moves that it's making.
We're going to Wally's world, bro.
It's insane.
It is. It's called Wally. It's a direct play off Wally.
Alexa. You know what I mean? That's the next step up. And it's just like, just that small token of what they've shown, and they were undoubtedly secretive about this contraption, but just from what they've shown, that is an unreal fusion of technology and lifestyle, and, like, the implications of that, even in fucking military, is unreal. You know what I mean? Even in law enforcement is unreal. You know what I mean? Can you imagine, like, little things set up on the corners of every street to where when it read a fucking nigga just robbed something, it'll just shoot shackles, you know what I mean? Like, or whatever the fuck, like, on some cartoon shit.
Looney Tunes shit.
Right, but, like, if we had technology that can read a moment and then react to a protocol based on that moment, that is a fucking game changer. That's self-driving cars. Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah. That technology alone is self-driving cars, and that's just a fucking bare minimum.
Like, we live our own lives.
I don't know what we're gonna do with all the extra time because people are already lazy as fuck.
I don't know. Like, we live our own lives, but I believe there is a collective consciousness. Like, so I think now, you know what I'm saying, we're in here. We don't know what's gonna happen. We're playing with what can we create. And I think, like, going back to all of the fucking ancient theories, like, I believe people maybe, like, humans came to enlightenment one time. And then they had to wipe it out because they did everything.
Yeah, exactly.
So now we're back, and now we're slowly learning it back. We're starting. We're building pyramids. Not pyramids. We're building like buildings, mud huts, and then we're coming back.
We already beat the game, and we're like, fuck.
We beat the game, and now we reset that shit, bro.
We're everything that's ever been and ever will be. Infinity's not a number, you know. It's like it's always been.
Well, I get that, but I'm just talking about the lineage and the progression of time because we can understand that through the Earth in itself.
But time doesn't exist, so this is just this time that you're learning to experience.
Like taking it that far, like the reality collapsed in on itself. Point. Like there's been millions. Like this has always been happening. That's the game. Life. Like it's like this shit just happens.
Yeah. Now we're just playing, and this is just the one that we tuned into. This
exactly.
Time.
This is just another.
Like this is like okay, I'll jump into this game and see what happens. You know what I'm saying? Like because we.
Parallel universe, you mean?
Not necessarily, but exactly.
Like the string theory. Like everything is. Everything, like everything
any
that you can imagine, everything that
happening.
Iron Man and the Avengers,
that happened. Exactly.
Like that happened somewhere because it, like we're all taught. We use a bunch of different words to explain the same shit. Like I say,
there's a limit to this shit.
Like listen,
there's a limit to this shit.
You gotta think.
I'm boat and I'm rowing hard, bro. I'm listening to your fucking drum beat. You know what I'm saying? Y'all are fucking just getting down and I'm rowing. I understand. But then y'all start hitting some weird ass beat.
What is this weird?
I'm understanding
where we at?
Like if we successfully created an AI like a robot and it's like this like crazy thing.
It is the Matrix. We're running through every possibility.
Like everything that is happening right now. Like I just feel like it's like we're too smart for our own good sometimes. We're like our mind goes there, and because we can think it, we sometimes think it's possible.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
What I mean?
Yeah.
But like we don't know.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Even what I say to you, I don't even believe what I'm saying. I'm like, I don't believe in shit.
I don't believe in anything
other than what I've experienced immediately. You know what I mean? And Terrence McKenna always says, reclaim immediate experience like that. It's like you do your fucking thing, and that's it. Like stop worrying about what you read in the book. And this shit, it's like if you want to know what psychedelics are like, go do it. If you want to know what this is like, go do it. Don't fucking. You could read about heart surgery a million times in a book, but you have to go do that shit if you want to know what it's like. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like stop. Like, just go do it. Like that's all. It's like stop giving your power away. You know what I mean? On that kind of level, it's like it's just crazy.
Right. Be a yes man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Do you remember that movie with Jim Carrey?
Yeah.
I fucking love that movie.
But take it to the end of it, exactly.
Yeah, like that. They took it to a comedic extent, but that was the fundamental underlining.
The beginner's mindset, dude. Like once you learn that, like that's more what it is. It's just being like, I'm a student. Once you realize that you're a student, and you will never know. You will never know everything. You'll never be perfect. All this shit. That game goes away. Then you realize you can just learn. And everyone's like, why are you guys racing to the finish line? We're here to fucking learn and play and do these things. Like everyone's walking around their fucking whips and driving us. It's like y'all fucking crazy. Like, we're here to experience love, grow, communicate, do these things. And everyone's just like mobbing around like, look at me, look at me, look at me. And it's like, okay.
But I mean, to play devil's advocate,
yes, please do.
That would be the way that they experience love.
Yeah.
And even go deeper than that, that could have been an experience of love that was manipulated into them through the nurturing of their environment.
And the only reason.
So can you blame them at that point? And if they are experiencing elation, if they are experiencing genuine elation from these materialistic boundaries, can you say at that point that is not love?
Exactly.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because we all have the same vessels, we all have the same body buildup and makeup, and we all have the same free will and power to attach an emotion to something, to anything, right? So if we all know the word love, and you've experienced real love, you know what I mean? Yeah. You've walked among great people, you've been humbled, you've been around relationships and things of that nature, and you've been exposed to what you would consider or what the human experience would consider real love, and a person maybe has been sheltered in a rich life, materialistic, high standard things, and their family or their mentors have always attributed love to the standard or the status, then you can't say that that's not love.
Nope.
You know what I mean?
As finicky as
it may be,
still love.
it's still love.
It's still love.
And bro, I take that all the way fucking back
Yep.
to being unapologetic in the being unapologetically prideful to your standard.
Yeah.
That's the way that I fucking live, and that's what that is about. It's fundamentally understanding that if somebody finds elation, if somebody finds that love, that creation spur, and being a fucking ice cream truck driver, and somebody does it by getting a Grammy, we have no real proof that that's not the same feeling. So therefore, we have no real proof that you are living a better life than that ice cream truck driver if he set out to do that his entire fucking life and achieved it.
100%.
Right.
And you set out to get that Grammy your entire fucking life and achieve that.
100%. Nobody's
You know what I
suffering
mean?
is any different and shit like that.
100%.
Like everything.
And
We all know suffering, you know what I mean?
Right, so
Like,
it brings the strength to strive for your goals and being unapologetic about it, but it brings the humbleness to know your goals are no better than anybody else's, and that's being prideful
that's
to
just
standard.
their
Standard
experience.
isn't different. When you think standard is a human, you think everything parallel. There's no standard that's better than another standard.
Yep, literally.
If we say this is the standard of Cadillac and this is the standard of Honda, it's on the same fucking level.
Exactly.
You compare it. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
So like,
and that goes back to me judging people. Like I gotta realize that's just their experience, and they may enjoy that, and I can't put my standards and my thoughts and ideas on somebody else because we're all in this shit.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
We just need
and
to
I just
talk
gotta
about it.
love
Yeah.
love.
Yeah.
Like I see you.
Yeah. It's like
Namaste.
I think communication is a huge thing. I think that's from all my relationships, whether it's been intimate relationships or relationship with family and things like that. The more that I communicate, and I feel like anyone who's around me a lot, they'll say you don't have to. You're not walking around Josh I wonder what he's thinking. Because I say it when I'm fucking thinking. You know what I mean?
This nigga's a picture book.
Yeah. And so
he is a Mattel Toys instructions manual.
I look at people all the time and I'm like, what are you thinking?
Right.
You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
and this is my most
Yeah.
extensive
Get it.
experience.
Yeah.
But every time
I'm that way
that
too.
I've been
I'm
here
definitely
with
that
you,
way too.
bro,
Yeah.
we just have just deep conversation. And you say and I love when I find people that are on the same wavelength. It reminds me, okay, I'm God, we're all God. We just gotta attract what we want to get as close as we can to that shit while we don't know what's gonna happen. So I really do believe it's crazy. Look at this podcast 10 years from now. How crazy this shit is gonna be. Especially with the advances in psychedelics and technology. It just our understanding as being human beings. You gotta think the records are wrong. We've been humans for way longer than that.
Right.
And now, but we went through the Stone Age, and now we're building up. We're building up back to what we imagine what can happen. When we think of the future, that shit already happened. We've been there before. Mm-hmm. But now we're just living in this experience to see how close we can get to that shit.
Right. But even the crazy thing in that, to understand, because I believe in that. I definitely believe that there was a point where we have been surpassed in our intellect that we are now.
Or maybe we just think we are because everything is real.
Right.
But I don't,
But to go down the rabbit hole, that we have surpassed that and we are at the pinnacle of intellect and we found out a way to restart and redo the map over. It's so cool because even with that concept of knowing that, it doesn't have to have been in order for it to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So at the same time of we maybe have had the intellect to understand that we have reached the capacity of intelligence within the confinements of our time. Maybe they got so fucking advanced with their intelligence and their inherence and their awareness around one another that they understood that they actually did have a ceiling within this time period. So they understood that we as people, our minds, our capacity is still going to grow past us, past our death, past whatever. So if we restart this shit and make sure that humans are still able to fucking grow and be okay and shit, we're going to know that we're going to start over, but we're going to start over with the same engine. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? We may not understand every compartment of this engine, but it's got a fucking Hemi in it. And until we understand that it has a Hemi in it, we're not going to get there. But they did that because they know that we are going to learn past their engine because we can. because it's the time to.
We made the
because
ultimate
we have
game.
The evolution.
Like VR and shit, that shit's
like,
nothing. But
we are
compared
going to
to like
surpass
what we've
our
made
ancestors.
already.
Exactly.
Like
bro,
what
exactly.
this is nothing compared to VR.
Exactly,
Like
bro.
that's why we'll go to VR and we're at the end of the day we're drawn to psychedelics. We're drawn to shit that will. Can we experience something else because we're stuck here? Like and people get depressed because they look on the bad side of being stuck here. But you gotta realize you're not really stuck here, but you kind of are.
Exactly. Yep.
Like that's what it all boils down to. Like it's like we keep
you're
on saying the
stuck
same
here,
shit
but
with
you're stuck
different
here by
words.
choice.
Like when I say life is a lazy river, it's all the same shit as what I'm talking. What we've
all
been
the words
talking
we've been
about.
using all day.
Every
Exactly.
word that we've said,
exactly.
it all comes back to the same thing. We're just in this experience here.
Fuck, man.
We do not know what's gonna happen, so let's just make the best out of it.
Exactly.
And
literally.
that's what life is about. Like, don't worry about what could happen next because you'll never.
This shit's
know.
all absurd. All we have is right now. People motherfuckers could die around you tomorrow. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this shit's not a game. Like, it's fucking, like, it's like don't take it for granted. You know what I mean? Like, live every day. Like, it's cliche, but it's like, if you knew you were gonna die tomorrow, what would you do? Go do that shit?
Or maybe you'll wake up in an arcade.
You know what I mean? Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Wake up like
and that's the scary part.
I got a
always
homie.
go back to.
Dude, I got a homie. Every once in a while, he'll just say it to me. He'll be like, sometimes I think I'm gonna wake up in that hospital bed and it's gonna be 5 years ago when we took that acid. And I'm just like, shut the fuck up.
Bro,
this whole thing's been a hallucination the past 5 years.
Everybody's hovering around Trump's fucking arcade machine right now. Like, yo, he's fucking shit up right now.
that's hella funny.
Like,
That's hella
he's
funny.
killing it, bro. He's going crazy.
Have you ever seen the floating message that went around? You know what I mean? It just kind of got viral where it was a black screen and it was white text and it was very simple. And it said, this is your consciousness. You've been in a coma for the past 10 years. We've been trying to find ways to send this message to you.
No.
Please wake up.
That's crazy.
And like that's all it said, you know what I mean? And they kept that shit super simple.
That's
and
funny.
there was just enough space between we've been trying to find this message to contact you for the last 10 years and please wake up to just give you that haunting vibe that like maybe this shit is low-key real and the only way they could do it is through my fake Facebook feed. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like and that
bro, we had to do all this shit.
It's all the time, bro.
I ain't even going
We
front,
always
bro.
go back to it. We're always trying to remind ourselves that we are gods.
Right, 100%.
Like, and that's just my beliefs. But at the end of the day, I don't know.
No, exactly.
Like, but I believe in everything.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah,
so
no, that shit
if you
got me.
believe in everything, you can't believe in
That shit got me.
one thing.
It was one of those posts where I just looked at it and then I had to turn my phone off.
I'll tell people.
Yeah, bro.
I
There's
want
always
this vibe
glitches
to
in the
reciprocate
Matrix.
Another post. I'm gonna be fucking weird. I gotta, set the next couple plays out.
I'll tell people. I'll tell people like
throw me off, man.
when you die, like you become nothing. It's like you become no thing. You become everything. And like when you're a baby, like in your mother's womb, it's like you don't have any. You're the same thing. You don't have any contrast, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you don't know that you're a different being because the mother is the thing. So when you die, it's like the cosmic womb. You go back and you go back to being nothing, and not by being nothing, I mean no, as in it's insignificant.
Yeah.
I mean no thing. You're everything. And if you're everything, there's no contrast. So if you die, you wouldn't be aware that you're dead. Not because it's black. You know what I mean? This is what I was getting at earlier too. Is like with the significance of it. I talk to people. I feel like in the religious aspect where it's like, if God made this place, right? It's very significant. It's like we have this meaning to our life. That's what the argument is. Like this is meaningful because God put us here to do this work.
Right.
And I'm like, and then the opposite of that would be, well, we're an accident and this just happened randomly.
Big bang.
And I think even that is the same, if not more, significant. Mm-hmm. Just because it wasn't created doesn't mean it's any less or more important, and that we shouldn't take it and treat it the same exact way. I don't understand why that's relevant. Where, you know what I mean? Like,
dude, that's super funny that you say that. So essentially, the intention behind the initial action isn't the only judgment on whether or not that action is good or bad.
Yeah.
It's based off of it's also fundamentally based off of the repercussions that thing or that
thought is going to
produce.
produce. Exactly. It's like I don't understand. Like either one is the same thing to me. That's what I don't understand. I'm like it's
right
because everything is
like it's just as significant. Like
100%.
It's not even more significant to me because I'm like, this is an accident.
Yeah.
Jeez, it would make me feel better if it was a God. I'm like, if it's an accident, I'm like really.
And I think that's what makes people comfortable.
Exactly.
Like that's people are clamoring for that feeling. Like, okay, I understand what this is, but at the root of who we are, this consciousness, we know that we know nothing.
Exactly.
And some people just cling to that shit just to feel like they know what's going on. And that's why some people can get lost in some things. Like, because they just, if you ever like just stick to like, you know what's going to happen, then what's the point of this?
Exactly.
Right, 100%.
You have to be, I let go of that shit.
And it's so funny because like, I feel like that translates into any big iconic person making moves on this earth, because it can be interpreted and have so many different effects. You know what I mean? Like I bring it back to fucking Kanye West because it's just funny because you hate this nigga, but him doing the whole Sunday service thing. You know what I mean? There was a lot of controversy about that because of his flip-flop way of having intense perspectives and then going into a new thing and running that, and he never mentions the other intense perspective while he's in this one. You know what I mean? It lessens the validity of the one that he is in right now, which is God and Jesus and bringing people to Christianity. So a lot of people question that and they think there's holes in that and that it's hollow. Therefore, it's a bad situation. Therefore, he is not contributing to society, or he's toxic, or whatever the case may be. But at this point in time, the last Sunday service, 1,400 people committed to Christianity. Whether or not you believe in that religion, to the perspective of that person, they are creating a commitment, a covenant, if you will, to better themselves, to promote peace within unity, to give themselves to a higher power above themselves to be good, because they understood that maybe the confinements of their own mind or their own insecurities couldn't do it themselves.
Totally.
So regardless of what they believe, if that promotes good, and if those 1,400 people, hell, if half of those people go and create a better world in their ecosystem because of the perspectives that they gain from that Sunday service, we can no longer gauge that Sunday service or his Christianity as a good or bad move based solely off of his intentions behind it. He could 100% been about money. He could have been fucking rubbing his hands with Joel Osteen like, yeah, nigga, I get it, bro. We about to get millions. You know what I mean? Like, I understand that, but at the end of the day, if 1,400 people became better and started feeding some homeless niggas as a result of it, was it good or bad?
Exactly.
And what now holds more weight? What's the scale? You know
think
what I mean?
goal
of intention to positive repercussion to where it'll flip either way.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And that goes back to everything is everything, because anything could be anything through time. You know what I mean?
Right.
If somebody was fucking killing hella people and it birthed one of the greatest detectives in the world who solved something super fucking crazy and saved millions of people, and at the time where that thing happened, it was bad. But through time and through that experience and allowing that vibration to ripple through and affect other vibrations, it created a good vibration of that. So we now cannot say that that thing is not bad. We got some fucking phenomenal scientists from the Holocaust. Sorry to say it.
Exactly.
Them niggas fled Germany and we got some tech, bro. We knew the fucking atom bomb. We got free range, my nigga. Like, there was, like, not to say that that is in any way proportionate to the death and the negative that happened from the Holocaust. In no way. But maybe, fucking unpopular opinion, over time, the positive repercussions of that event might outweigh what happened.
We grow.
Because the negative could always happen, but if we learn and progress from that, and there is a string between intelligence, it could get to the point where the good outweigh the bad.
All we're ever trying to do is just make an impact. All we want to do is like make an impact on most people, and like people channel it in different ways because you know we're all just going our own way, like on whatever this is. But like all we want to do is be like, remember, like, you know what I'm saying? That's why we make music, and like that's why like you look to those people, and like good or bad, like it makes your experience. Like with the Mac Miller album, I wanted to get into that. Like that just came out today.
I'm so mad, bro.
You should have listened to it.
I listened to it like 5 times.
I did too.
Bro, I listened to the first song. I was enraptured. and I was going to delve into it on the way here, and my battery was low, so I had to make a choice. And to be quite honest, I'm upset at the choice that I made because I had that choice so I could look at the topics. But we were just on some fucking sauce tonight, and we don't need topics at all. Ladies and gentlemen, this is off the dome. We got plenty little things that we want to talk about for a solid fucking hour and 57 minutes or 47 minutes. We've just been going off the cuff because that's just what the fuck it is. And I could have been listening to that Mac Miller album on the way here. That 7% would have been better utilized.
That would have made your experience right now.
I'm pissed.
I literally had like one of the most beautiful experiences of my entire life listening to that album for the first time last night, and like,
get the fuck out of here!
Like it was just, I'm really.
This nigga has trained with monks. He has survived leprosy. He has built and created amazing music, and he said that he experienced one of the greatest moments in his life from this album, and I haven't listened to it.
Bruh, this album is beautiful.
I wasn't pissed.
There was a lot more circumstances to do with that. There was people and certain things involved in it, but the album was the curator of the story. You know what I mean?
It came at the right moment.
He
like
was literally just
make me feel
it
better
just
about
happened
this.
because
he was talking the whole time directly to the situation.
And I was like, I woke up weird. You know, the first thing I did.
You could feel the repercussions of everything.
The first thing I did was listen to the album and like. My day just went weird all day. Like
listening to it, like as a collective. Like how many?
What do you mean by weird? Can you elaborate on that? Please?
Like I'm like so I got up, I listened to it, I did my usual routine, I smoked my shit, took a shit, you know, and then I was listening to the album. You know what I'm saying? Not gonna get into it, but me and my lady had a little. You know what I'm saying? Okay. And then I missed the first bus, got on the late bus. So I thought I was gonna be late for work, but another bus came. I was like, okay, maybe it's not like that. You know what I'm saying? So then I got on the bus. I almost made it to work on time. But you know what I'm saying? But when I was hopping off the bus, there was this like tweaker dude like trying to like at the bus stop that and I was the only person on the bus, and that rarely happens. So I got off the bus. And then there was this tweaker dude like pushing this lady. She was obviously off the shits too, but you know what I'm saying? He was just like pushing her and shit. So I like stopped, and like me and the bus driver, like we started yelling like, leave her alone, let her get on the bus. Like, so he like let her get on the bus, and then he started getting on the bus, and then the bus driver like got in his face and shit. I'm just like sitting there, you know what I'm saying, on standby, you know what I'm saying, ready to go.
Little Sunday morning cartoons.
And then so and all this shit is just crazy, right? So, bus driver throws the dude off the bus, and I was like, you know what I'm saying, just still peeping out the situation. He starts banging on the windows, right? Right as that happened, bro.
Routine. I feel like that's a very
that's some tweaker shit, bro.
To the point.
When he was like, no, I'm about to like, nah, she can't get on that, type shit. And then, but the bus driver was a big black dude, so he. Tweaker dude already. He knew we wasn't gonna happen.
You don't know the rules of my bus.
So, but right at that moment, like right when he kicked him off the bus and the dude started banging on the window, the cops pulled up. I didn't even see them. Like I didn't know they were behind us or how they knew what the fuck was going on. Like just at that moment, it reminded me, okay, I have no control. This shit is just happening. Like so, then they pulled up. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, all right, cool. I'm good. I'm about to be late for work a little bit. So you know what I'm saying? I get on my way to work. First call I get is some lady just yelling at me. You know what I'm saying? And all this shit this morning just reminded me like, man, I just gotta look at the peace in the shit and just laugh at the shit because it's all by chance. Who would have knew that would have happened? And I kind of tie it back to just listening to that Mac Miller album. It was what was happening in my experience this morning, and that's just what happened. It's a lovely fucking. It's beautiful. It's like beautiful. I can't say enough about that.
Go listen to it.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite Mac Miller. Like from cover to cover, like that shit is crazy, bro. Like
I mean, the general consensus of the Mac Miller album was that it was eye opening, which is fucking weird. Like
it is
come from a standpoint of music to where the general consensus is that you had an experience with it, or the general reaction of your music is experience related. You know what I mean? Like it was a journey.
Yeah,
or
exactly. It was a trip, dude.
An experience. It was a trip. You know what I mean? Like I felt that shit.
Like it marked a time in my life where I will always remember this day.
Exactly. It
makes
me want to
and
maybe it's
cry,
because I created it, because I
Exactly.
love Mac Miller so much. He made an impact on my life. Going back to that's what your purpose is.
Exactly. That's the holy grail of compliments. If you are in any form of expressionism for your monetary gain, you know what I mean? Like. And I just say that not like the fact that like, oh, it's rooted in monetary gain, just to the point where if you have taken your passion to the level to where you want it to be everything, you don't want to take any time away from it, therefore you need to create currency from it, and you are experiencing that. Exactly. You know what I mean?
100%.
So to the level where your passion is a part of, or the sole monetary gain in your life, hearing that you have now created an experience for somebody, or a journey, or you created an image or a visual or a perspective or a door for somebody, is the highest form of praise that anybody could have experienced. And I don't give a fuck who you are. I'm bold to say, as for the people who's not even aware of this, when they hear that comment, it will hit them differently than, yo, that shit is dope, bro. Exactly. I fucking, you know what I'm saying? Like, I fuck my bitch to your shit, Trey Songz. That shit is hard. Nah, bro. This song really, it made me think about money differently, bro. It made me actually want to invest my stuff, and it's cool. I got a business now.
Yeah.
So, I'm not saying it's because of you. Like, that shit is way more.
I love when people tell me they listen to my music on psychedelics. I'm like, for real? Thank you. Because, like, I know the shit I listen to on psychedelics, and it's like I keep it in a certain thing, and it's like I only want to bring that into that perspective, and, like, I can hope for people to, like, want to,
That's a certain room, bro.
Exactly.
Like, that's a speakeasy, my nigga.
Like,
you
how
gotta
you're...
know the code to get in.
Yeah, like how you're talking about how, like, an album could make you feel. Like, that shit made me feel like he's at peace.
Dude, for real.
Like, and that made me understand that,
I'm gonna listen to it again
tonight. Kudos to the producer,
deep,
because he was working
John
with
Bryan.
that.
Yes.
Yeah. John Bryan. He was working with that while Mac Miller was alive, and that was kind of the dedication.
He's worked with everyone, dude.
His demise.
He's a great
producer. He would
producer.
finish this and produce this and make this. What I loved about the album, personally, for me, is the first ringings or waves that I heard about it was from his family in that message.
I know, it's so clear.
And
so beautiful.
To me, that let me know that this was going to be a legitimate piece that reflected who Mac was at that time, and that's what genuinely got me excited about it. Yeah. Because there's certain projects that come out, like there's certain like
just to make money
the
off
Triple
of
X projects that came out. There was
that's
a lot of them that were like admittedly unfinished.
Yep.
And he was a phenomenal artist that could cross genres effortlessly and hone and bring
and it just got
a bridge to all these genres. And the songs that we heard were only a glimpse or a reflection of what he truly wanted to say.
And maybe that's why I didn't like it, because I didn't 100%. Feel like he was at peace.
Exactly.
Like, because that's not where he was at. His experience was. That's not where he wanted to go. It was unfinished, so it's unfinished. Right. Just let it go. But that Mac Miller album, that shit is finished, bro. Go listen to that shit. That shit, like...
I'm very excited.
Like I said, it made me feel like he's at peace. And, like, he just...
Which is great because this was made in conjunction to swimming, right?
Yeah.
So, does it have a lingering theme?
You can listen through them both together, and it would be perfectly fine. But honestly, I think it's so unique on its own. There's tones and
there's
things I've never heard.
Like I feel like
it's really
me and
unreal.
you were having that conversation. Yeah. Like
the first track, I felt that way.
He was just getting to
that was I've never felt.
Bro, he was just getting to his potential.
Exactly. Like, if anything, like, I don't even want to say it, but I say it for my own comfort. It's like that was him finally being him
as an artist, like as a true creative. That was him
form of himself.
Yes.
This song, like, this album, I would play my entire life. It's timeless already.
Experience somebody who was truly within that nature. Like,
such a pivotal time.
I got that feeling when I heard the Jay-Z 444 album.
Yeah.
Like, that was the first time we heard Sean Carter. We heard Jay-Z through
all
of the blueprints, through all of the reasonable doubts and everything. But
I feel
444 was the first time we heard his insecurities, his fears, his process of thinking, his ability to overcome his failures, his vulnerabilities. And that was a Sean Carter album, and I feel like that was a level that Jay-Z ascended to where, to be honest, I'm content that he still hasn't released anything yet. That's timeless.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was such an accurate reflection of who he was as a person at that time that I'm so content with that. It's a timestamp. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And it's because, like, when we tap into that beautiful, true, free flow of expression, that's where timeless music is created. So, like, what I'm gathering from this, being a person that hasn't heard it yet, Mac Miller has created truly a timeless album in circles. And, like, it's exciting to hear, man.
I don't know, man. Like, it's just, like, the day of, and just
it's
everything
so
that I've been through today. Because this experience, like, including this experience. Today, on, like,
you know what I'm saying?
it just... Like, I feel like this might be the most impactful album of my entire life.
For real, I agree with you, dude, 100%.
Like, but I could tie myself to that moment.
The words we're just
not
even
like
this cubicle, nigga, like this little cube here that we in. That's insane,
Dog,
bro.
not even kidding. It's so significant.
It's crazy,
to
bro.
me personally, not to anyone else or put that out
and
there.
you now. For viewers that have like just tapped in and heard a little bit of Kaleidoscope Kid's origin,
Blue and the Kaleidoscope Kid out now.
You know what I'm saying?
Quail Run coming out soon.
We understand he has experienced
reaching out
things that are outside the realm of, let's say, a normal American, right?
Oh, dogs.
So to say that this is one of the most pivotal like pieces of music that you've made, or I mean that you've heard and like that has changed you.
Yeah.
That's insane. That reaches cultural boundaries. Yeah. That's not just the top 100. It's not the albums we've heard this year, the greats that we've heard, like fucking Jimi Hendrix or Freddie Mercury. No, we're talking about through the monk chants that have changed reality and perspective. This kind of sits among those experiences for you, sound-wise, sonically.
Bro,
right?
I mean, it's the most in my entire life I've ever felt not alone. I think there's something about it where it was just one of those things where it's like, yeah, dude, like other people feel this, like, you know what I mean, and to an extent that was just calming and almost I don't know, it brought tears to my eyes in the most beautiful way, though. You know what I mean?
And I guess going all the way back to you, like, kind of secluding yourself, and then now you're coming back and like we've had a conversation, like I said, your gratitude is really real, and now you're working on a few projects and you're reaching out. Album coming out soon. Project. So you're starting to work with a lot of artists, and how does that feel like?
Dude,
coming back to like, so you had to journey out and fix yourself, and learn, you know what I'm saying, learn what you had to
be
learn
on the plateau necessary
to come back, and now like you were saying, like it's the most beautiful thing, like.
No, it is truly the most beautiful thing. I mean, it's almost like it's better than any drug for me, I think, sometimes creating with people, whether it be music, whether it be going on a hike and an immediate experience. But I spend so much time alone that the time I have with people, and I feel like it's always when I'm with people, I'm like, this could be the last time I see this person. That's always right in front of my head. And I feel like I treat every moment with the most, like presence and sincerity that I can be there with it, because otherwise it's like, why are you here? You know what I mean?
Right. Where do you believe that thought is derived from yourself?
From just me almost dying multiple times, seeing people around
just
me.
Just knowing that all can end at any moment.
Dude. This could be over. And it's like nothing's guaranteed, dog. It's just not.
It's like
how do you think? Because I think the ultimate goal is for everybody to experience life in that direction. To be honest.
Yeah, me too.
Right.
How do you get them to experience that without having to die?
Exactly.
That's psychedelics. Because you're not gonna die. You could get in a car crash and almost die, or you could take mushrooms and be safe and sound and know you're gonna feel like you're gonna die, but you're not. That's the only thing.
But I think like
so it allows you to break the wall without breaking
the bones, dude.
Yeah. It all comes back to like just like I said, it's just having gratitude. Like what we've been talking about this whole time is like, okay, we're on this ride. Like, we don't know what it is. Stop trying to figure it out. Just be grateful that you are on this ride.
Right.
And that's the key to being happy. Like, just know that I have no control of this shit. I think I have control, and I think I make these decisions, but I'm just going. You know what I'm saying? I'm just going. I'm on a raft. You know what I'm saying? Right. And we're just going. I can't fight the waves. If I try to fight the waves, I'm going to put myself back. Path of least resistance. Don't try to resist that shit. Just let it go. Yep. And I think that's what it all comes back to. Just be grateful every day. And it sounds so cliche, but everybody says it. Like, but at the end of the day, like, that's what it is. Like, when people hold these crystals and they think what they think, you know what I'm saying? It's being grateful. And when people meditate and they come back to this moment, they're being grateful and realizing, I'm on this ride.
Right.
Like, it's a method to get back to that place.
In your consciousness is just a thing to pull you away. Like, you're experiencing everything at the same time, but you got to bring yourself back here.
And even more so, you've built this ride. Yeah, you know what I mean? I'm on this ride, but I've constructed this roller coaster in and out. I just don't remember building it.
Exactly.
Right.
But I know inherently, instinctually, through my body movements, I'll lean before it goes.
If you could write a song...
I can't explain that, but I know that I've rode this roller coaster before, and it happens like that. You know what I mean?
If you could write a song, wouldn't you, the first thing you want to do would be like, yo, like, I wish I could hear this from somebody else's ears.
Yes, 100%. That's why I listen to a thing 1,000 times to try to get that.
That's what we're doing.
But I can't.
That's why I take drugs. Right. I'm like, whoa, who's this? I'm like, oh, I wrote this today.
Right. Oh, damn. A writer's only hope is to 100% translate what they've heard in their head as to what they've heard to everybody else.
Yeah.
Right.
And the only way that they can experience that is through the confirmation of everybody else's face.
Exactly.
Yeah. All we are ever doing is holding up the mirror to ourselves. Right. When you're acting, when you're making music, when you're doing dancing, anything, you're just holding up the mirror to everybody else saying, I am you, you are me.
And the less you find within yourself, the more you inherently will look outward in order to get it. You know what I mean? And that's like, no matter what the bill is owed.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It's not a matter of how we fucking get the money, sir. Exactly. It's just a matter of when we get the money. So do you want it to be in your Camaro? Or do you want to make a nice monthly payment on your fucking mortgage? You know what I mean? Like, either way, we're going to get this fucking shortage, sir. And that's how it is through the experiences in life. Like, either way, the bill is going to be paid. How do you want to do it?
100%, bro.
You know what I mean? And, like, that shit is wild. Like,
but realize that you have no control in how you do it. You're just along for the ride.
We ain't got shit. It's an illusion.
You know what I'm saying? I think you do at the end of the day.
Everything's real. Everything's fake.
Everything's really fake.
Bro, I'm so glad that you came on this podcast. Bro. And I just want to say that you have experienced an extraordinary life.
Right.
You have experienced valleys to the depth that no one has seen and mountains to the peak that no one can imagine. And to see that gives you a proper scope of your earth. And I also feel like to the depth of your struggle also gives a glimpse to the depth of the success that you're going to have. You've experienced things on the negative side of life that no human, I wouldn't wish that on my enemy.
Exactly.
And I feel like because everything is everything, because there was a balance, because I'm a chaos theorist, I believe because of the temperature of the fire that you've been set in, you are building yourself to become something that is going to project that much outward. Everything that has come within is going to be put out. So, you know, your negative experiences are only a testament to your future success. Exactly. And I'm happy that you're here, bro.
Yeah, dude. Oh, Thank you. I'm so fucking happy, dog. Really, for real, man.
For real, man. Hey, I love you, bro.
Yes, I love you, dog, man.
I love all of you guys. That's what we all gotta remember, bro. Like, and that's what it all comes back to the same conversation. I feel like I come in here every other week and I'm just taking guesses. I'm just throwing darts and I'm just trying to figure shit out. And I think at the end of the day, I don't know how interesting this podcast is gonna be now that I know that it's just a ride, bro.
Exactly.
Like, how am I?
Let's not go that far. This is an interesting as fuck podcast. Okay?
It definitely is.
People need to hear this.
It's like some people don't find it entertaining unless you're talking about superficial shit. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Unless you're talking about what's going on, and that's why I'm an introvert. Like, we know that, right? From the podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Like, I don't like to talk to people because I don't like to have simple conversations. How are you?
It's only this. It's only.
You don't care. It's all superficial. Mm-hmm. Like, it's just what you've been programmed to do within the matrix that we've been set in.
Push people 100%. Away my entire life because the only thing I want to talk about are these things.
But you attract the people that you need.
Exactly.
At the end of the, it's crazy, bro. Like we've been talking in circles. Like, doesn't that shit
Get the fuck?
Think about all of this shit, bro. Like, I don't know. Like, today will forever change my life.
For sure, dog.
Absolutely.
Like, and it's like, I gotta realize every day will do it.
It's crazy. I know. It's really so much potential every day, man.
Like, it's like,
that's a beautiful place.
My appreciation, like,
through the roof.
We're holding up a mirror to ourselves.
Yes,
and like,
dude.
I'm glad that whatever experience happened, I attracted this shit and met you through my whole life. You know, like, everything led up to this moment. Crazy, all of us, for whatever reason, we're all here, and it all just we're all saying the same thing. It's just gratitude. I appreciate you.
Yeah, man, I appreciate
I
you.
love all of you guys.
Yep.
And that's what we gotta realize.
Yes.
If you're listening to this, love yourself. Like, I posted the Mac Miller shit, like, crazy, bro. That was on an account that nobody found until after he was dead. Like, and you know, he was just reminding. And the last thing he said, "I'll be back."
Yeah.
He will be because he's here.
And where else would we go?
We're here and we're not here.
Exactly.
You just gotta have gratitude. That's gonna be the title of
the
fucking podcast, man.
You know what I'm saying? Hey, let me do that. Let me do that before you sip.
Yeah, pump me some.
You know what I'm saying? Let me do that before we sip. And let's end it on this. This is a beautiful time
for sure.
Right here.
Everything happens the way it needs to happen.
100%.
Put them up.
Let me get up in here.
Hey, wherever y'all are, toast up.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly.
To Mac, to you, because you are Mac.
Yep, exactly.
You are you. You are everything.
I am I. We is it. We is it.
We love you guys.
Thank you so much for listening to the A is 4 podcast. Look up on Instagram, _ the A is 4. We're going to be producing content on that to make sure that y'all stay informed. We can cut this down into little notable segments so y'all can post your comments, your opinions, and make sure that we can get a good dialogue with this shit, because the other half of this podcast that's going to get even bigger with 2020 is understanding that your voice, the listener, is a pivotal part of this. And the moment we can start implementing that within the podcast, that's where we're going to find our true strength. Because, you know, at the end of the day, as entertainers and as artists, we're nothing without y'all. You know, so overall, we appreciate y'all. Have a good night. Be safe. Thank you.
We are you. You are we. We love you guys. See you in 2 weeks.
Peace.